Live from beautiful downtown Bastrop, it's time for the Stage Select, starring Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
What could this possibly be? Seems a lot like a podcast, wonder what specifically. Talking about video games. With your hosts, you're in good hands, not more of the same. Now we'll jump right in. So expect the unexpected and more. Now we'll get groovin'. There ain't always gonna walk through the door. There just might be some strategy in this chat. Having fun with our special guest. Time for Stage Select.
And here are your hosts, Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
Welcome, one and all, to the Stage Select. I'm Julian Titus.
And I'm Justin Ham. Welcome to the show. Julian, there comes a man. There comes a man.
No, there comes a man.
There comes a man.
All
There comes
over.
a man, and he's coming.
Yeah.
You gotta look out for it. No, there comes a time in every man's life when he has to handle hazardous waste. You gotta do it.
Sometimes you just got to do it.
You gotta do it. You know,
Yeah.
Somebody's gotta do it, and we've all been there. And you just have the urge, you know. I fight it all the time. I'm like, you know what? I wake up in the morning. I'm like, you know, I really just today would love to handle some hazardous fucking waste. That's what I'd like to do. But you know, I can't do that all the time. It's very hard, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
give it a few years, and I think we're all going to just be forced to handle hazardous
It's
waste
possible,
on a daily
you know,
basis.
and that what a paradise we'll be in, you know.
Yes. A man can dream.
A man can dream, you know.
Yeah.
And that's that. Anyway, we're here.
We are here.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome. We are a video game variety show. We are back.
Not today, Stage Select.
Not even 2 minutes into the show, and the Phantom struck.
Yeah. Well,
Goddamn.
well, at least they had the courtesy to do it early.
Hopefully that's the only time that we see.
They do what they want, Julian.
I guess so.
You know?
Feel like Jennifer Love Hewitt in I Know What You Did Last Summer. Tell me what you want.
Yeah, I do remember that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, when she does that, she's like one step away from saying, "I'm walking here."
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I feel like I watched that movie once, but I don't actually know. I can't remember. That says a lot about that movie.
It's one of my favorite slasher flicks from the era.
Yeah, from the era, sure.
Because it's more of a psychological thriller than it is about the gore. Like, I love the fact that the killer is fucking with them the whole time. Like, he makes sure that they see one of the bodies, and then they run to go report it. And when they come back with somebody that isn't part of the core group, the body's gone.
Yes.
And so it just makes them all look crazy. And then he's just picking them off one by one through the movie. And that's what I really appreciate about it. Like, it's got like a lot of restraint to it that I like.
Right, perfectly fine.
And then the second one is just a bloodbath.
So my friend from work, Lonnie, who I love and adore, he has an entire thing against the second movie, and he's right. The second movie is called I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And I believe, if I remember right now, I'm going to have to look this up so I don't get it wrong. I believe it takes place at least 2 years after the first movie, which then makes the title not make any fucking sense.
Well, it doesn't make any sense even if it was just the year later, because they killed the killer who knew what they did last summer.
Yes.
So who knows what who still knows what they did that summer.
Yeah. It should be that summer. That would make sense, but it's still last summer, which but that doesn't make any sense.
Justin, don't worry about it. It's like Fathreer or Driftreer or you know, any of the Fast and the Furious sequel names.
Yeah.
Like it's just a clever thing.
Is it?
I mean, kind of. It's.
I mean, if it would have been months later, then yes, somebody still would have known what you did last summer.
It's like if you had called Doom 2 still Doomin.
I mean, that's good. That's good titling right there.
I think that might be the name of the episode. I'm pleased with that.
Yeah, no, it's good. I like that. I'd play that. I would have played Doom 2 by now had that been the title.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still Doomin'.
Still Doomin'. One quick announcement to get out of the way before we get into things. I'm trying to do more with our YouTube channel as beyond just having the podcast be there as a podcast. I clipped out like a thing as a short that I did from last episode where you were talking about your Steam review of Madden.
Oh yeah.
And I've started to do this on Patreon. I kind of had this idea, and and it was actually fun to do, and I kind of want to do more of this because I've gotten rusty on writing. So I was like, oh, you know what? Jeff Gersman does this thing where he still writes reviews on his Patreon page. Yeah. And he just puts them up as free posts. And I was like, yeah, I want to do that too. So I wrote a review for Until Then, threw it up on our Patreon page. It's a free post. You can go read it without, being a member. But then I was like, let me take it a step further. Let me do it as a video review as well. Now, my idea was, so what I did is I recorded myself reading the review, which is, how like most like IGN reviews and stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. My
plan, because I'm not a video editor. I don't know how to edit video, but I was like, I'll take some footage from my PS5. Like I'll clip some stuff using the share function, transfer that to the computer and just like lay them in one after another. Like they're not going to be fancy. It'll just be like, here's a minute-long clip. Here's a minute-long clip. And I was like, okay, once I read the review, it was like about a 5-minute-long audio. I was like, that's all I need. But I was having a really hard time. I was trying to like, because now you have to like, it saves to the PlayStation app on your phone. Then you download it to your phone. And then I was trying to email those to myself, but they wouldn't email because the files were too big. And I was only able to get like 2 30-second. Oh no.
Oh, it's okay. The internet went out. You're fine.
Okay.
It's all good.
God damn it.
It's all good. I didn't hear much of what you said, but that's okay. Just continue on like I did.
I was able to get like basically like 2 30-second clips, like emailed to myself. But then when I looked at them, they were the same 30-second clips. And I was like, okay, this just isn't going to work. So I just threw up like a screen of the game and had that as a static image for like all of the review. So it's a very scuffed review. There's also a part where I in my original text, I accidentally called it Until Dawn for a second, and I recorded it that way, and I was like, well, I got to re-record that, but the re-recording sounds way out of place. Like you can very much tell that it was done after the fact.
Oh. Oh, well.
Like a first video, it is extremely scuffed and very poor production quality.
Yeah.
But, just to say, like, if you do YouTube stuff, or you like to watch YouTube, you can subscribe to us there. There's going to be more stuff going up there than just the podcast.
There you go.
I do plan on doing a review fairly shortly for This Bed We Made and kind of going forward. I'm not going to do anything much older than that because like I might do a Unicorn Overlord review because I think that still lives so rent free in my head that I can still review it.
I believe you.
I don't think that I could do. I don't think that I could review Infinite Wealth.
That'd be
without
tough.
Like going back and like rewatching a bunch of it.
Yeah.
To kind of remind myself about like certain like complaints or
yeah.
I'm definitely gonna. So we'll talk about it later because
we are going to talk about it later. Yes.
And I do want to do a spoiler cast once you're finished, but before that, I'll definitely like kind of watch like some stuff to refresh my memory on certain key points. But yeah, just trying to find ways to kind of get word of the show out there more and get more eyes towards here and stuff like that.
Yep. So way to go.
I think the show is excellent and I want more people to interact with it and listen to it. It's the only thing that gives my life meaning these days.
Wow.
So,
dark.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
What was it recently that was like kind of surprisingly dark? And I was like, I don't know.
Sure it was something.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
one thing is I'm feeling like extremely lonely lately. Yeah. Anywho,
well.
and also like I guess it's not to call out the guests. It's more of just to like explain like why the show is going to feel a little weird. We were hoping to have friend of the show John Gholson on, who he's our announcer. If you're a new listener who didn't listen to Nerds Without Pants, he's an old friend of mine, and he was on Nerds Without Pants many times.
Yes,
but you do hear him at the beginning and end of every show, and throughout the shows as our interstitial announcements. But he's a very busy man these days, and it's getting harder and harder to book him. And unfortunately, like he had to reschedule last minute. But unfortunately, that meant like at least on my end, it's like shit. I only had one thing to talk about, and it was a very specific thing for John. So now, like, I don't have much. I scrambled to play a video game demo right before we had to record the Suffer Select.
Yeah.
So let's kick off with you, Justin.
Because,
okay. Because you did do something new.
Sure, I did.
New for you, not new for me. But I've been dying to be able to actually converse with you about this.
I want to leave you in limbo for just a little bit because I want to do.
Yeah, fuck.
I want to pull just a little bit, and then I'm going to get into it. I just want to talk about my week period.
Oh, sure,
because it's been wild.
Go off, King.
Yeah, and then
more Zoomer stuff. That Riz
Slay Queen.
I think that's more of a millennial thing.
Is it?
I think so.
I don't know.
Talk about your skibbity week. I know it was very Ohio.
Okay, that sounds like things people would say. I guess I could see that.
Let's talk about your brain rot.
Describing things as Ohio. That I can get behind that. That makes sense to me because I live there.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
That makes sense to me. It's terrible. So yeah, okay. Anyway, no, my week was very interesting. So let's see. I want to say it was probably sometime around last week. It was starting to build up a little bit, but it wasn't really anything that I was like, I didn't think anything of it. But this week was all about Justin's job and how Justin is in a union and my union was about to go on strike. And it was slowly building and building and building. And I was like, oh shit, we're fucking doing this, aren't we? And I was getting very hyped about it to some degree. I don't know why.
Because your union didn't end up striking during the recent UAW stuff.
No, that was big UAW, greater UAW that is actually builds the cards. We just make the tail lights and the headlights and stuff. That's what we do at our factory, and we're one of like 7 or something like that in the whole thing, and we're one of the only ones that is actually unionized, and so on and so forth. And this year was the first year that since I've been there, we've had a union, since I worked there. But this was the first year that we could actually go on strike, which is a complicated fucking thing because used to be a Ford plant there. It was an actual full-blown Ford plant where I worked. Then Ford stopped having that plant. They went somewhere else. But to leave the union there, they had to make a different deal, which was basically, hey, you can't strike and for so many years, that. And so this was the first one where we actually could. So we got voted in that we could do that and had that during the bargaining thing and all that stuff. And then, and basically,
I hope the union got like some really good concessions for or some really good stuff for making that large of a concession of like, oh yeah, we're just not going to like.
Nope.
Okay.
It was strictly to have a union in the plant, basically.
Well, okay, but that's
it's better than not having one.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you still had contract negotiations and stuff like that. You could still vote down contracts and all that stuff. But basically the thing was, yeah, you can vote down contracts, but we'll just go off the old one. So eventually you're going to fucking vote one of these in, or else you're never going to get any sort of raise, even as small as it would be.
Right.
So this year we had some actual power here and could actually do stuff. So basically, so ultimately it didn't happen, which is just what I learned today. But like, basically they've been doing wild shit. Like my little line just makes like the service parts. Like if you have an F-150 and you break your fucking taillight, you dumbass, you probably get something that I made. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Some listener that has a 41F50, like right, just like takes like a ball peen hammer to their tail light.
You can get one made by me that'll be, I don't know, of varying quality. But it's whatever. But anyway, so but even on our, they were like, well, everybody's got to work overtime and all this stuff because we're stocking up and like you start to see like company people like trying to learn jobs and shit like that, and you're like, everything becomes this weird fucking mind game all of a sudden. It's been a fucking week, man, because like you can tell what they're doing from a mile away, and you're just like kind of laughing about it. It's weird. So
is it sort of like Undercover Boss or something like that, where it's like this almost like wolf in sheep's clothing walking around awkwardly?
Yeah, it's weird, man. Like all of a sudden, like higher ups start showing up that you never fucking see, and like people from other fucking unions are showing up here, and you're like, okay, fuck, this is weird. And we're off in our own little stupid world of whatever. Just doing our thing. And so it's been a week, and basically it built up to me taking today off because they pissed me off. I haven't spite called off in a while. It's been a long time. They basically mandated like a 12-hour shift at one point, and I was like, fucking why? Why did they? Oh, right, because they want to build up a bunch of shifts. Well, you know what? Fuck you. I'm not coming in here tomorrow. You can kiss my ass. And it was kind of that whole thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't. It was and that was fun. So I took today off, which that would be today. But anyway, and then I played Bioforge. I would have rather worked than fucking played Bioforge. More on that in another podcast.
Yes, that's a teaser for our Patreon.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's been an interesting week, but the entire week. I've basically gone home like, man, what a weird fucking day. Time to play Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth all fucking day. See, I was going somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, having Ichiban Kasuga as like positive reinforcement, like waiting for you when you get home.
It's been great.
Yeah.
There's been there's been like, I know I had to play Bioforge this week, right? But it was a thing we had to do. And every day I'd come home like, I'm not in the mood for that, man. I like, cause it was stressful. Like this whole thing has been like really stressful.
Oh,
like,
I get it.
You got people that just aren't telling you things. Everything you're hearing is like a fucking rumor. Oh, they're doing this. This is why this is going on. What are we going to do if we actually do go on strike? They got this, they're going to assign this, and then everybody's saying different things, and it's stressful as hell.
Yeah.
Because like it shouldn't be, but it is.
I cannot picture you like on a picket line. Like I would look so miserable
hyped.
and out of place.
I was hyped. I will get more into how hyped I was. I jumped the gun, honestly. We'll get into it at another point because
okay, that explains something that you told me like off air. Okay.
Oh yeah. It's possible.
Yeah.
But yeah. I jumped the gun a little bit on something. It's fun in a fun way. But anyway, I've been coming home playing Infinite Wealth, and I started it on like Saturday after the podcast because I was looking at everything that I had left to play, and I was like, I am out of shit. Like it's time. Let's fire this thing up. Let's get the ball rolling.
Let me ask you, did you restart? Because I know that you had played a little bit of it on a stream way back.
Yes, and I did restart.
Okay.
But
seems like the right thing to do.
Yes, but at the same time, as soon as I would see the opening of the scene, I'd be like, I remember this. Okay, got it. And I would skip it. Like I was like, oh right, yeah, he's working here. Yeah, right, this guy. Okay, yeah, he's doing this. Okay, yeah, we go here. Okay. I got through the opening like really, really quick. Because of that, because I was like, it was a lot of it's cutscenes, and a lot of it I would see like the main gist and be like, right, okay, I got this. I remember this, and I would just skip it. Yeah. And so I got through the opening pretty quick that day. I think on Saturday it took me all of like the entire day to finally get to Hawaii and all that stuff and actually get there. Which I think is kind of a weird part of that game.
See, and I have definitely seen that sentiment from other people online. I love the beginning of Infinite Wealth. I think for me, like, it made me so happy. Like, I had a big grin on my face because it was so clear that they all stayed together.
Oh,
like,
yeah. No, I love that. Oh, yeah. I love that. I love that. That's not even really the issue. Actually, like, getting to Hawaii, like, I like that whole thing. I like the aftermath of the first game being explained and what Ichiban's been up to and what he's trying to do. It's kind of the most him thing to try to do. And how the relationships are kind of starting to evolve on certain, like, he goes on a date and that shit's great.
Man, that everything about, like, leading up to the date, like him talking to Adachi and Nanba is so good.
It's really good. That stuff is fun.
He is such a good boy.
He is.
And I relate to him in such a fundamental way because, like this is a minor spoiler. It's like very early in the game, but yeah, he finally goes on a date with Psycho, like the woman in your party from the first game.
Yes.
And, you know, it seems that, like, this whole time she's just kind of been waiting for him to ask her out anyway. Yeah. But he's stressing about it. He doesn't know what to do.
Right.
But you have to remember that, like, he was in jail for so long. Like so much of his life just didn't happen. And now he's this dude in his early 40s that doesn't really know how to act and how to live outside of the Yakuza. And even the fact that he was raised in the Yakuza and everything like that, like, he didn't really get a really good shot at being a human being.
No.
And, like, that speaks to me on such a fundamental level. And like, you know, I have dated and I've had a couple relationships that have lasted a bit, but I don't know how I would go about trying to, like, date again now. I have resigned myself to the fact that I'm probably never going to date again. Because I'm a very selfish person. 2, I've kind of just gotten used to being alone. 3, I'm a fucking mid-40s loser that is, like, socially, like, still in his 20s.
Yeah.
So, like, that's not a very good sell for women my age.
Well, yeah, you'll have that every now and then. But yeah, like, it's funny because it goes well until it doesn't. And then him talking to Adachi and Nanba about what happened. Yeah. Is so good. It is one of the best cutscenes I've ever seen. It's really good. They went
out of their way to, like, have Nanba, like, they're at a fast food place and Nanba, like, picks up his Coke and, like, swirls the ice around in the Coke. And it's like, Pat commented on it when he was playing. It's like, who fucking does that? Who takes the trouble to animate that?
Yeah. It's great. I'm right there with. I love Ichiban. Like, I love his whole. I don't know. He's the exact opposite of Kiryu, and it's so apparent in this one that he is. Because especially when they're both together, and that's kind of the thing I've been enjoying kind of the most is just their kind of whole thing together a lot of the time, where like. Kiryu has an arc in this one, and I like it a good amount. And basically it's kind of playing off of Ichiban, where, like, they've kind of put Kiryu in a spot where, like, for the first time ever, he actually really does need help, because for reasons, and I love that. And now that he has this help, he's like, oh, this is actually all right, and this is pretty cool, and this guy has kind of an effect on me in a weird way, and, like, it's really cool, like, so yeah, I love Ichiban, man. That guy gets me a lot, like, just misty eyed a lot. Oh yeah, it's wonderful.
He's so pure and he's so, like. He's always rooting for you, and not in a condescending way, or not in a way that makes you roll your eyes. It's, like, so sincere.
No, it's amazing sometimes. Like, he's by far, like, the best protagonist that in a long time for me.
I think I said this on Nerds Without Pants when we were talking about the last Ichiban game, but for me, I think the big distinction. Because, like, I think a lot of it does end up, unfortunately, devolving into who's better, Ichiban or Kiryu. And it's not that who's better, they're just different.
They're just different, yeah.
I think the big crux is that Kiryu comes across somebody who needs help, and he's like, what can I help you with?
Yeah.
And Ichiban is like, oh man, what can I help you with?
Yeah.
You know,
Basically,
like
yes.
they're both going to help you. It's just Ichiban is much more enthusiastic about it and happy to do so.
Absolutely.
Ichiban, it feels very onerous.
Yes. Kiryu.
Sorry. Kiryu feels onerous.
Yeah. Kiryu is helping because he knows it's the right thing to do. Right.
Yes.
Ichiban is helping because he knows it's the right thing to do and he really wants to. Like, he wants to fucking go out of his way. He's like, I ain't got nothing better to do. Well, this is what I'm doing. I'm helping you.
It's literally like his whole thing is he wants to be a hero, and heroes help people. And like, that is such a core part of him. And that's one of the things that I love about the previous game and this one.
Yes.
Is that I love the fact that he has this very like childlike dream of, I always wanted to be a hero like in Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
And like the people that are around him, they don't make fun of him for it. They're just like, you should be a hero like in Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
And they buy into it. And this game in particular, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but there are a lot of parts where other people, like some of the other party members, are talking off to the side without Ichiban or Kiryu being there.
Yeah.
And they're just like, man, like there's just something about him that you just can't help but buy into it.
That's happened.
You're along for the ride.
Yep, that happens a few times. Yeah, it's really great.
He pulls a Goku so many times in this game, and what I mean by that is turning an enemy into an ally.
Oh yeah,
like, all the time.
Yep. That's just what the guy does. It's really good. It's not without its flaws for sure.
For sure.
I think once. I do like the opening. I actually like the part in Japan a pretty good amount. I think that stuff is really great. I think it's kind of the perfect catch up moment. I think actually a lot of the pacing problems I have with it are all mostly when you get to Hawaii itself. I want to say it was like 20 hours or something like that before I had 4 party members, because I was roaming around, like, you know, doing side quests, and some of that's on me, but because I'd be like right there and I'd be like, well, I might as well do this. Right. But at the same time, I was like, then I was like, okay, let's actually hunker down and like get a full party or something. Cause I remembered the girl from the demo. Like, I was like, okay, so I'm guessing, and obviously a thing happens and you meet her. So I was like, okay, let's hunker down and let's see when the hell she comes into play. And then like, it just kind of kept going. I was like, okay, when are we actually going to get a fucking, okay. So all right. It's still going. All right. And that's a lot of the game where basically you go to the next plot point and you're like, it's like, okay, we're going to go to this plot point and nothing happened. And nothing happened. Mm-hmm. And now something happened. Okay, great. And now nothing. It's kind of weird like that. When stuff does happen, it's great. But it's a lot of like, we went to this place to try to find a thing, but nothing happened. And I was like, oh, okay, all right.
And that's a legacy issue of all of their games, you know. And I would like to see them like be like, like really take like a hard look and be like, how much of this do we need, right?
Yeah.
And how much of this is like kind of going over like similar.
I agree.
Points.
I think it's a little more egregious this time than it has maybe in the past, but it could be me it could just be because I'm playing this one and not other ones at the time, you know.
Yeah.
That's been a huge thing. Like, just kind of, like I said, the me having 3 party members for as long as I did, was kind of nuts. That being said, I do like the new characters, quite a bit.
Great.
Tomizawa,
Chitose in general, like
Chitose and Tomizawa both. I didn't like Tomizawa, in the early parts of him being in my party. I was like, I'm not really liking this guy. And a lot of it was like his voice actor I thought was a little off. Like, there was something about, I was like, he kind of sounds like he has a New York accent going on or something. And I can't.
He does. And I think that's on purpose.
I think so.
I don't know why though. But,
I don't know.
Well,
either.
Actually, I think it's because he's a cabbie.
I
think that's the joke.
That might be what they're going for. But then after a while, like he has a couple moments. I was like, okay, no, I really like this guy. And then
the thing I like about Tomizawa the most, and I think this is very much the English voice actor or the localization, because I don't know how much of this is in the Japanese version. His in battle dialogue, he's so fucking bloodthirsty.
Yeah.
He's just like, come on.
Yeah.
You know, and like he's talking about like he'll like kill you and stuff like that. It's like, whoa. pump the brakes, Tomizawa.
Yeah, no, he's savage. Chitose is really fun too. I really like her as well.
Yeah. I need to know what you think of the inspirations for getting the new jobs.
They're not bad. I like it. The Hawaiian the vacation thing. That's a pretty fun way to do that. I have to say. I love
them so much. Yeah. They're so dumb.
Yeah, they're dumb.
So gloriously dumb.
Yeah.
But they're so lavishly produced.
Yes, they are.
Hawaii, I think, is incredible. Like it is one of the best areas I think that they've designed just as like visually. I don't know. I agree with you on a pure different standpoint from what you're used to seeing in these games. I will agree with that. It's got a lot more going on visually than the other ones for sure. They're kind of one note in Japan, but that's just kind of Japan, I guess. Unless you're going out in the sticks or whatever, or wherever you want to go. But a Japanese city just kind of looks like a Japanese city. What are you gonna do? Like when I was done with the game, like I felt like I had actually kind of like been to Hawaii. Like I thought that was really, and especially after talking to Moses, the well-read mage, like in DM and being like, hey, because my big complaint at the beginning was like, everybody speaks Japanese. Like I was kind of hoping that each one would have like a harder time getting around. And he's like, no, it's kind of like Japan 2.0. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, then that actually makes a lot of sense for why they said it.
For sure. Yeah.
I think my biggest complaint about the overall party makeup is I do wish that like one of the parties was just like a white American dude that was like on vacation in Hawaii and just gets sucked into the whole thing.
I agree. That'd be fun.
If you were talking to like a Texan, like tech CEO or something like that, and he joins your party and he's like, and he also doesn't really understand what you're saying most of the time, like, like a language barrier thing. I think that would be
fun. That'd be great. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Because Tomizawa he's Hawaiian, but he's half Japanese.
Yes.
And then Chitose is Japanese, but she lives in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So it's like there's not a lot of like culture shock going on.
No.
Except for like maybe the first couple hours when you get there, but it's over very quick.
Yeah, it's over really fast, and then everybody's fine. It's fine. Yeah, don't worry about it. Everybody understands you, and no big deal. There's very few moments where that's a thing.
Yeah.
And I agree that I kind of expected that to be more of a thing, and then it wasn't. As far as Hawaii goes, this is very much a me thing. I'm not a big fan ever of like island aesthetic anything. It's one of my big things where I'm just like, it's not that I don't find it fascinating or cool, but there's something about it like that I just don't like is just aesthetically. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm like this. That's just personal preference.
The pasty skinned, always wearing black person that you are, and it just like rejects the sun and surf wholeheartedly.
It's absolutely that. Yeah, it really is. I mean, The Sims has a fucking island DLC. It's my least favorite one. I hate it. I never go to it. I hate all the Sims. I think they look weird. Like I'm always just like, why do they wear that? What? That's so. I don't like it.
Yeah.
They're always ready to swim.
When I went on that cruise a few years ago, like my least favorite parts of the cruise was being on a beach with like my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
She loves beaches, but I was just like, oh, I don't like this. I loved everything else. It was just like, I don't know. I don't really like swimming in the ocean, and also like just laying out here is kind of boring to me. Like, yeah.
That being said, this has been like, as far normally an aesthetic that would turn me off, and it very much does. It's one of my least favorite ones, but at the same time, the game is doing such a good job of telling a story about it and presenting it in a way that I'm actually finding interesting and decent. That I think that speaks volumes, really. Like that I'm actually like not completely repelled by it. Because if this was something else, like I'd be like probably not into it, but it's doing a great job. So the side stories have been I've liked a lot of them for the most part. There's a couple that are fucking emotionally intense. Holy shit.
Yeah.
There's
that game it is, again, I mean, like the series is known for, right? Like it can go back and forth between earnest and zany, like so effortlessly, and it never feels out of place.
This one does it like it'll be in the same story. There's one that starts out with a man throwing snow cones at himself.
Oh God, yeah.
And it was it was emotionally devastating. I was like, holy shit, that was good. Yep. Like at the end of it, I was like, wow, that was and it went to like more zany places than that even. Like it incorporated a character. I was like, and then it comes back around like, oh my God. Like I was in tears at the end of it. It was great. I was like, what a fucking ride, man. That was awesome. And there's a lot of stuff like that. There's a kid selling lemonade. What's that kid's deal? I'm like, oh, all right. Well, that's a lot. Okay.
I never finished the lemonade storyline.
It actually ends pretty good. Actually ends pretty good. It's something.
Did you find the American director?
Yes. Which one?
The American who's like super into Japanese stuff.
Yes. Yes.
That stuff is very fun.
Yes. And then I also talked to his rival afterwards and another director. And they had a whole thing, and that was a big deal. That was fun.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Do you love listening to audiobooks but find yourself tuning out or even falling asleep? It can be annoying. And if you're driving overnight, it can even be deadly. What you need is Laudable, the dynamic audiobook app that delivers your favorite books read to you by the loudest people imaginable. Listen to this excerpt of Curse of the Cobb Man from award-winning horror author Rob O'Tone, as read to you by the ghost of Sam Kinison. It exhaled loudly, its breath like moist farmland. Charlie waited to feel those gnarled, jagged teeth tear into her, but instead, she felt a lurch. The tightness around her ankle suddenly gave way, and she plummeted, screaming towards the forest floor. Ah! I work overnight in a morgue, and Laudable keeps me as stiff as the corpses all around me, says Pete Blandley of Hoboken, New Jersey. It's better than taking West Coast turnarounds, says long-haul trucker Morton Blandley, no relation. Laudable, because sometimes audiobooks are boring.
The one thing, so a big part of Yakuza games or Like a Dragon games has always been like, what's the big mini game this time? Mm-hmm. It's always a big thing.
And there's two major ones this time. I mean, there's obviously like a lot of the smaller ones that you expect, but
oh yeah, there's smaller ones that you expect. I haven't really vibed with any of them just yet. I appreciate the dumbness of the dating app minigame. That one's it's quirky and stupid, but I haven't really engaged with it super hard.
Yeah, that's so that one. And the one where you're photographing guys on the trolley, were the ones that grossed me out. Where I didn't want to do them after I did the initial one,
right?
Because the dating one, like, I guess I lucked out because apparently, like, most of the time you're getting catfish, but I actually got like one of the women,
okay,
and it was like so. All of a sudden, she's sending me like butt pics and feet pics like almost immediately.
Yeah,
and then like when we go on the date, it's just like her in a hotel room in a bikini, and I'm like, this feels bad.
Yeah, it's weird,
and I hated that. And then what is it? Is it Sicko Snap? Is that what
it's called? Sicko Snap? Yeah. Because it's just like really buff dudes in Speedos with masks on that are doing silly things. Yes,
and I'm like, there's an element here where it kind of implies that like they're all gay, and it's this weird like homophobic thing to me, where it's just like they're sickos because like they're just like buff dudes in Speedos.
I could see that implication. I didn't have that with that one. I just didn't find Pokemon Snap that great of a game, so I didn't really engage. So I play it once, and I'm like, that's quirky and dumb, and then I kind of never did it again.
I think if it wasn't specifically that, like, you're sending the pics to the police to, like, go harass these guys that are just minding their own business.
Right.
Because none of them are doing anything that's, like, interfering with people. They're just being
Doesn't seem
wacky.
like it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
So I didn't like that part of it. I do love Crazy Delivery.
Crazy Delivery is another one that I played once, and I was like, I don't want to do that again. That was annoying. Yeah, I love the idea because I'm like, oh, it's Crazy Taxi with a bike. That's great. That's a perfect idea.
And the guy that you're working for looks just like Axel
him.
from it's great.
I picked up on it. Yeah, trust me. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get what you're doing here. That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. But then when the game happened, I was like, I don't think I want to do that again. It's great idea. I just don't want to really keep going with it. Unless there's like a story in it, then there might be. Some of them have like hidden little things. Like if you keep doing them, they'll suddenly have a story.
You do get him as a summon if you go far enough. I didn't like do everything, but I did get far enough to get him as a summon.
So I might go ahead and do that at some point.
Yeah.
The main mini games. So there's two. There's Dondoku Island, and there is what's the Sujimon
battles?
Sujimon battling, yeah, which is basically Pokemon, but you are doing it with people, which is pretty funny.
Everything surrounding it is so fucked up, and they know it's fucked up.
They know it is. They're really leaning into that. I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do really.
Look. They're such degenerates that they're basically not even human anymore. So don't treat them as such.
No, absolutely not. It's really dumb.
And like, have you like pulled any gacha style yet? Have you seen that animation?
Yes. Oh my God. With the convicts coming out of the jail cells. Yeah. It's fantastic. Really. It's a great idea. When it comes to the mini game itself, I think I'm not getting as into it as I have other mini games in the past, though. And I think the reason for that is I think it's actually too close to the main game, where it's like a turn-based battle type thing.
That's fair.
And I'm kind of like, well, I'm already kind of doing that. Like, so but it's not bad. I'm still doing it when it comes up, and I'm like, it's not like the worst thing ever. But I'm not like going out of my way and like, no, I'm doing just this, like I have done in other mini games, like when. I
honestly find the combat in Sujimon battles to be more fun than any Pokemon I've ever played.
Oh, I'm not saying it's bad or anything. It's perfectly fine, but it's so close to what I'm already doing on a regular basis. Yeah, that it kind of makes me like I'm not going to go out of my way for it. I'll definitely do everything in it because I want to see where it goes. It's really dumb, but at the same time, like. So I bought the expensive version of that game, and like it came with a bunch of stuff, and so I've just been kind of using the stuff that it came with to kind of just go right through it a lot of the time.
Oh, right.
So
you got some of the like the really good.
Yeah, like it has like Kiryu as a fucking Sujimon and shit like that, and you're like, okay, yeah, I'll just blaze through this shit, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's perfectly fine. Like I said, I have no real qualms with it, but I'm just not as into it as I have been in the past. Like it's not the Cabaret Club from Yakuza 0, where I just spent like days doing that.
Yeah. And you're right, like, because that's such a different mechanic than what you're doing in the main game.
Yes. And also, but also like it would incorporate stuff from, the main game where you're like, yeah, you got to go fight for this girl to get this one thing, but now you have this girl and like, how are you going to use them? And like that whole thing like was great to me.
Yes.
The other one, Dondoku Island, But overall, I should mention Sujimon, but they're perfectly fine. I don't hate it, but at the same time, not as into it. But Dondoku Island, I kind of hate. Not gonna lie to you, it's fine, but like I don't get into those kind of games that much. Like I love Stardew Valley. Which I immediately when they kind of introduced it, I was like, oh, it's kind of like going to be like Stardew Valley because I got to clear all this trash out, which is kind of the whole concept of Stardew is like, hey, there's a bunch of trees and shit, and you got to clear those out, and then you can have fields to plant. And then when I got into it, I was like, oh, it's not really that. It's kind of like I just have to put stuff. But the one thing where I may make it fun is I almost was like, I want to make my island just the worst looking piece of shit ever. And just put the worst things that I possibly can all over it and in places that don't make any sense, but just to efficiently get through it to get whatever the rewards are for it.
That's my problem. And I talked about this when we were talking about when I brought up V Rising, is that that's what I always end up doing with games like this, where there's a building mechanic where I will just put down the bare minimum of what's needed to progress. And it doesn't look good and it has no rhyme or reason. The other thing here is that you're trying to build a resort island, but like what you have is just all of the assets from the previous games, which aren't really conducive to building a resort.
I put like a karaoke bar and I was like, that's not like, none of the stuff looks very good. And I was just like, and then
out of context from like
Kamurocho
or something like that. Like, it's just really weird.
Yeah, it's very strange. And I'm not really into the entire concept. Like there's combat that's different from the rest of the game, where you it's almost like action combat. It's not very good, but it's there. You can catch bugs with a net. I'm like, I don't really care about that. You can fish. It's a half-ass fishing game. I'm like, that's fine, I guess. But nothing really calls to me in it. And I'm just like...
It also runs into the same issue that I have with a lot of survival games, which is, oh man, I'm going to have to punch a shit ton of trees.
You got to punch a ton of shit. You got to punch a bunch of trash. You got to punch a lot of shit and punch some rocks. Not into that aspect of it. I love the idea, right? Like it's a neat idea.
I love how you get to it from the island.
Yes, there's a dolphin.
Yes,
that would also might be a hang up for me.
Right.
Not a dolphin fan. Not a dolphin fan. But that's fine. But I get it. You know, I get it. You dolphin people out there, I do get it. But I don't like them, and you can't make me like them. That's all there is to that. Anyway, Dondoku Island is I'm not feeling that one. I can't foresee myself feeling that one either. Like, I can't see myself coming around on it because I'm like, I feel like I've seen. I got it to a 1-star resort and I was like, that's enough.
Yeah.
I might go back if that's where the money is. That'd be the way to get me back in. But yeah, not getting into the mini games as much as I have previous Yakuza games. Like, even the last Ichiban game had that like business one. And that was great. I loved that stupid thing.
Yeah, man. I did all of that. I normally in these games, I don't get to the end of the business, like, side quest stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I never did, like, well, I actually didn't finish 0, but, like, I didn't get to the end of, like, the cabaret or like real estate thing.
Right.
I forget what it was in 6, but I didn't finish that.
Oh, there was a couple in 6. There was the
I
gang.
think there was another cabaret one, actually, now that I think about it.
In 6, there was the gang war one.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't finish that.
I did because the entire thing that compelled me through that was like, oh, these are all New Japan wrestlers.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. Like
I got most of the way through it.
Yeah.
And what happens with all of these games is I get to a point where I'm like, I'm ready for the game to end. I need to focus.
Absolutely.
Because that was Sujimon battles. I got super into Sujimon on Infinite Wealth. And at a certain point, I was like, I'm spending way too much time.
You'll have that. Battles. Yeah. Yeah, I could see getting into that one for sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, to me,
I love when you evolve them. Like, the animation is so dumb.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
It's really good.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's a great idea. Like, it's almost, they put that concept in the last one like a little bit, and now they evolved it, and I love that the idea that they had for it. So that's a cool thing to do. I do like that one. I just am not as into it as I have been other ones.
Very important thing that I've been dying to know. Because you played Like a Dragon, the man who erased his name before the language patch.
Yes.
And I did not. I played it after they added Yongye as Kiryu. How do you feel about Kiryu's English voice?
I'm used to it now. At first it was a little jarring. But I guess it was a little jarring when I played the last Ichiban game and that happened. So
I think back when we were playing that one, like, we had talked, like, we wished that there was a way to just, like, turn Kiryu only in Japanese because we're used to him talking in Japanese and everybody else in English.
And I hate to say it, I still kind of feel that way most of the time. Like where I'm like, I still wish I could. To him. Just because I'm used to him.
Yeah.
That would be a fun idea. It would be to be like you can turn the different voice actors to whichever ones you want. Like if you like this guy's Japanese, I do it in
Street Fighter.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, I would really like that. Because like. Kiryu, it's the performance overall, I think, is fine. I don't have like the longer it's gone, the more I'm like, okay, I'm used to it now. This is fine, and it also helps that his hair is so different in this one that I kind of like. I know it's the character and I know it's him, but at the same time, like it's a different one. It's fine, like because he looks different now, so it's working okay for me. The only place where I got really bummed out was I went to karaoke and was like, I'm going to sing Bakamitai. Hell yeah. And then I went to the song and it was the English voice actor singing it. I was like, absolutely not.
And
no.
He's a bad singer.
Yeah. But I heard enough.
but listen, Justin, listen. Yeah. There is one song that you need to perform.
I will.
With him, I forget what the name of it is.
Okay.
It's like a sad like breakup song, and he's doing ad libs, and the ad libs are fucking hilarious.
Okay, all right.
Like, and that's my thing is that I feel that the performance is overall pretty uneven.
Yeah.
And my other big complaint is that if this was Yakuza 1, I think he'd be fine. I think that would be pretty perfect for it. But with this being mid-50s Kiryu, like I feel that I need somebody a little older and more grizzled sounding.
Yeah, they're grizzled.
Young Ye's a young dude.
Yeah, no, I know. They're grizzled enough. They're projecting that enough, but not like as much as you'd want them to be.
Yeah. Especially because there's reasons for Kiryu to sound more strange.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's weird. It's also really tough, right? Because you're coming into like such an established voice acting thing with such an established character. Like I couldn't imagine trying to fucking take that on.
I was kind of just surprised that they went with like a person that's primarily known for YouTube and not like a more like established voice actor.
Yeah, it's
not to take anything away from no. I think he's done other stuff, but it's like you would just kind of expect them to get like a name.
Yeah, right. It certainly for sure, but it's hard to say. I'll say this. I mean, I think his voice acting performance is better than what's the one guy, Machete.
Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo.
Look, Danny Trejo's gonna Danny Trejo.
He did Danny Trejo all over it, and it was funny, but I'm like, man, he's much better when you can see him doing threatening things.
I heard a really interesting thing about him.
Okay.
I forget what podcast I was listening to about this, but he has a rule in his contract. If he's playing a bad guy, the character has to be humiliated.
Okay.
In some way. Because he is actually a former criminal, right?
Oh,
he was convicted. He went through the prison system and everything.
Yeah.
Got out, actually turned his life around, became an actor, and then now we know who he is.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want people to see him playing a bad guy and being like, I want to be that dude.
That makes
wants
sense.
you to emulate him if he's being a good guy.
Yeah.
But if he's a bad guy, like the guy has to be a piece of shit, and also like something humiliating has to happen to him, and so like it could be slapsticky or like in the case of like this one, like he wets himself,
right.
And something like that has to happen to him to like diminish the character's overall
that makes sense.
Stature in the eyes of the
because now that I think about it, that's pretty much the deal with a lot of the characters that he's played. So that makes sense.
I think it's really
cool.
neat.
Yeah, that's cool. That's actually really neat. Yeah. No, he does fine. But I guess as far as voice acting goes, I was like, maybe he's not like the greatest like voice actor, I guess.
Look, he's not the greatest actor, right?
No, he's not. But I loved it. I need to say I love Danny Trejo.
And like I was super happy to see him. I was glad to see that the character was basically just modeled after him. Like, that's what you want.
Exactly.
To circle around back to Kiryu real quick, though. He does,
You're fine.
Yang Ye does have one of my favorite lines, because you hear it a lot.
Mhm.
One of the things is that at a certain point, like, you're going around Japan as Kiryu and reminiscing.
Mhm.
And, like, there's only, like, 2, maybe 3 lines of dialogue that he says when you get a new, like, memory.
Mhm.
And my favorite one is, "That's nostalgic."
Yeah. Yeah. I just gotten about there in my playthrough now. Yeah.
Get ready to hear that a lot.
Yeah. No, I've done a few of them now. I have heard that line. So yeah. But yeah, no, overall it's been really great. The battle system, I remember I did a lot of it in the old one, in the last one, I mean. And I will say it is very much improved this time.
Yeah, they definitely heard the criticisms. And everything flows better.
It does.
The battles are snappier. And yeah, I think overall, like, it feels way less grindy. I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Up until the very end. And I will give you, because I know you. By the time I get to talk to you again, you will have finished the game.
It's possible.
So let me give you a word of advice.
Okay.
There is a chapter where you're in Hawaii.
Okay.
Where you have an opportunity to get on a boat, and it does give you no. It doesn't give you a point of no return.
Okay.
Usually it tells you when, like, it's like a point of no return.
Yeah.
It does not.
Okay.
Like, it will feel like a point of no return. But let me just say that if your overall party is not around level 50,
gotcha,
and you're at that point, just go grind.
I remember you saying this when you were playing it, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Because I went through what was basically the final dungeon.
Yeah.
Barely scraped my way through, and then could not beat the final boss of that dungeon. Yeah. And had to back out like 3 hours and then go grind for 4.
Yeah. That sucks. Yeah, for sure. The grindiness is there's not much of that in this one. They, at least not that I can feel. At least I'm sure at the end there probably will be, for sure. But, like,
depends on how much, like, you're actually doing side stuff.
Oh,
and, like,
yeah.
I think you should probably go into those, like, deep dungeons maybe more often than.
Yeah, I did. I did the first one or whatever, and, like, the initial one, and then I did it again. And so far what I've noticed is, like, the story will kind of jump around a little bit, and it's actually leveling up characters to a certain point, like, every time, which is interesting. Like, it jumped again, and then it leveled up characters that I wasn't playing as, that I was playing as again, which I found fascinating. So, so I'm like, okay, well, that's just the level they want me to be right now. So, okay.
I don't remember that when I played it. I wonder if that was maybe something that got patched in since I played it.
It's possible.
Like, maybe it's a balancing thing.
It's possible, because, like, I'll put it like this: when we jump to a thing, to a different place, my characters in the first place were level 28. We jumped; the new people were 29. And then I looked back because it shows you all the other ones. They were level 29. And I was like, oh, weird. Okay. Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, that's kind of an interesting. So I really
think
didn't
that's
need
something
to be
that was changed, and for the better. Because and then the only thing that I think that they really need to work on for the next game, if they decide to keep, like, a job system like they've done in these 2 games, the amount of materials required to upgrade weapons.
Oh, that was
ridiculous.
I can already see that.
Especially when you're constantly switching jobs, those don't mix.
That was kind of a thing in the last one too, if I remember right. Yeah. I remember at some point I just settled on a weapon and was like, yeah, it does good enough. We're just gonna go with this. My biggest complaint grind wise has been money. Has been kind of weird every now and then. Like, it feels like it takes forever to get, and then you spend it all, and, like, you're just out of it. And I guess that's money, period. But at the same time, I'm playing a video game. Like,
it well, actually, you're right at the part where it becomes less of a problem.
I'm sure that's always every Yakuza game is like this. It's always like a huge thing where you're just like, damn, I just need more money to do anything. And then all of a sudden, like, at a certain point in the game, it turns. And then you're like, wow, I have more money than I can even spend.
You'll never get to that point. I will say that because
Well,
even by the end of the game, like the weapons that you're getting and the gear the end is so
I can tell
expensive.
the shit that's priced the way it is. I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's. I think that's what they learned was like eventually you would get to a point where like, oh, I have more money than I can spend. But then, and so people would be like, well, I have more money than I can spend. What am I going to do with it all? So now they're like, well, let's give people something to do with it all, right?
Yes.
So yeah.
There's other things that, I'll wait for a spoiler cast. There's one thing
story-wise, it's hard to talk about.
And there's one thing that I'm not sure if this is the intent or not, but I hope it is that I feel that they've introduced Ichiban's Majima, but a very different dynamic than Majima. And I really hope that that's the case because it's a very cool, interesting character. And I hope that that's like a thing moving forward and not just for this game.
Yeah.
Every time that like you encounter this character, I was like, starting to like this guy.
Yeah.
And then like it just keeps on going. And it's like, man, I hope he shows up some more. Like he's such a good rival.
Yeah.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Are you looking for a university with your best interests in mind? One that'll put you in a career you'll love with a salary you can raise a family on? Well, that's stupid, and you're stupid for wanting it. At Bread University, we'll ask for all your money up front and then teach you everything we know about bread. What do we know about bread? Enough. With a degree from Bread University, jobs will laugh at you after you apply to them. But you'll know more about bread than they do, and in the end, isn't that what really matters? Bread University. Open enrollment starts when you fall for this scam.
My minor complaint about the combat is really, really minor. And it's like, I wish these damn enemies would stop moving around so much. Because you're trying to line stuff up and do area of effect stuff, and then and it makes it feel dynamic. It's such a weird balance that they're trying to do because it really does feel like it flows really well because everything's kind of moving and it feels live action, but it's not. It's kind of cool. And at the same time, I'm like, just trying to line up this thing, and he just moved out the way. I had the perfect angle on it, and now I don't. So, and then you can sit there, but he's not going to move back. So just get fucked.
Being able to move around was much needed.
Oh, that was
a big problem in the first game.
Yeah.
But I wish that if they wanted to make the enemies look like they're not standing still, just have them do like a fighting game style, like bob and sway type thing in place.
Right.
And I think that would still look dynamic enough. And because so many of the special moves involve, this is a straight line move.
Yes.
This is an AoE move.
Yes.
And it's like, God damn it. Like sometimes you think that you've got it just perfect. And then the attack finishes. It's like, I only hit one dude.
Yeah. It drives me nuts every time. And that's my one thing where I'm just like, God, they'll get there. I feel like they'll get there, or at least I hope they will. But it's much better than the first game.
And I get annoyed, but then the next turn I get to like hit somebody with a ginormous tuna.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That tuna's fucking done some work for me too.
Oh yeah,
that's
it's
a
clutch
good attack
in certain boss fights.
Hell yeah.
God, it's a really good game.
It's a good game.
Still,
it's quite good. I'm having a great time. I'm locked in. For those interested, I played it all week. I have 55 hours in it right now, and I'm fucking trucking. So
it's been a bit since you've done that.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I'm in, and I got a holiday weekend this weekend. So
I totally forgot I was off on Monday. So the month got away from me. It's like, oh shit, Persona.
Yeah.
So like I did start to do the very beginning of August in this walkthrough is Tartarus.
Right.
And so I'm starting to do that. And like I also spent most of my money right before because on gear, and I was like, oh no, like I'm gonna be here a while.
Yeah.
So that'll probably be this weekend besides editing.
Well, I thought I was gonna have longer of a week with the strike thing. Sure. I was like, I think we're gonna this is actually gonna happen. Then today it was like, no, it's fine, never mind, don't worry about it. And I was like, oh well, okay.
You got me all wound up.
Yeah, I was wound up, man. I was ready to come on here and be like, yeah, fuck them. We're going.
Sorry, what?
Oh, yeah, hold on. We got the button.
Fuck them.
There we go.
I have it at a good volume now. I think.
Do. That
yeah,
sounds much better.
I worked on it. I actually did. I went out of my way to work on it. I can't remember what the hell I was doing when I was working on it, but I worked on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I had one other thing about Like a Dragon before moving on.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I have anything else for it or not. I don't think I do.
Oh, I know what it was.
Okay.
So I actually am wondering because it's only September, but Game Awards is December. I'm wondering, wait, is TGS around the corner or did that already happen? No, TGS is around the corner. I feel like we're about due for the next RGG game to be announced because they come out pretty much yearly, right? Like since 2006, they've released at least one game a year, if not multiples.
Okay.
And I feel that like it's time. Obviously, it's not going to be like the sequel to Infinite Wealth that just came out, but I'm like, I kind of want to see what's next. And I could see that being a Game Awards thing. I could see it being a TGS thing.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
But I feel like we're about due for that, and I'm curious what it is because if it's a new Yagami game, I'm just skipping it.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna go back to that guy.
I hope not.
With all the stuff that happened.
There is so one of the things that is very frustrating about the RGG franchise is that there are things that just like they're ships in a night that never meet, right?
Yeah,
so even between like Ichiban and Kiryu, there's a lot of stuff that's still very separate as far as like people they encounter and stuff like that. That's very frustrating.
Yeah.
But even beyond that is like the Judgment games where it's like these guys are running around Kamurocho. They're involved in the organized crime scene. Right. But somehow they're not encountering any of the people from any of these other goddamn games.
Just different stuff,
Finally, Infinite Wealth bridges that gap.
Yeah.
And it bridges it with the character that I wanted them to bridge it with.
Okay.
This is a side story, so I don't mind like spoiling it. Saito-san, who is Yagami's, sidekick in those games.
That wasn't Infinite Wealth. That was the Kiryu one.
That was the Kiryu one. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was Kaito.
Yeah.
You're right. But anyway, I'm glad that he was the character that was like the one that is there because fuck Yagami. I will play a Judgment game if it's about Kaito.
I agree.
Okay, can I finally say it? Like you're never going to
go
back
ahead.
To Lost
I'm not going to play that game. Go ahead.
Okay, so spoilers for Lost Judgment, the game that's like now like I don't know 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah,
and it'll be in the time.
Fast
I'll put
forward
it in
ahead
the show
if you're
if you really don't want to hear anything about this game.
Yeah.
The core thing is that Yagami is like undercover as a teacher at a high school.
Right. I remember that.
Because there's like this bullying situation and there were like these bullies that bullied this kid to the point of like suicide. And then years later, like one by one, like those bullies as adults are now like being killed by a serial killer.
Right.
And the whole time, like Yagami's on the case.
Yeah.
But there's a certain point where he finds out who the killer is.
Okay.
And he's kind of like, you know what? That's fine. Because they were bullies. So, they deserve to die. And I'm like, I don't know if that's really, like,
I don't know if that's a great stance. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
And literally he does not give a shit until, one of the women that works at the school that's kind of set up as like a possible love interest for him gets killed. And all of a sudden now he gives a shit. And that is like the only reason for him to give a shit. And like that whole, like there's a certain point where I just turned on that character completely. And I was like, you're fine defending a serial killer.
Huh.
But now that like the girl that you liked kind of got in the crossfire, now you got to take him down.
Now you got to take him down. He went too far. He was okay. He was okay murdering people as long as they were bad people. Yeah,
as long as you couldn't fuck those people.
Yeah,
then it was fine. But now that it was someone that you could potentially fuck,
we're okay with Frank Castle out there, killing the bad guys. But as long as he doesn't kill a civilian, then we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah. God damn, yeah. And so I was like, I do not want to see another game starring this character.
Again, I don't
Kaito,
know if he will.
I'm all for.
Yeah, I don't know if he will because of all the licensing stuff or whatever, all the shit they had with that talent agency and all that shit and the PC stuff.
There's more to it than that because they did get it on PC eventually, so I thought they had gotten that squared away. But then, like the CEO of that agency, was caught doing some really ill sexual shit.
Sure, yeah.
So it's like, you might not just want to work with unless he goes to a different talent agency, right?
Yeah,
which I could definitely see. But
yeah, I honestly, to me, it'd just be, if I was them, I would take that as a learning experience and just be like, our main characters shouldn't be actors,
because they got burned on both of the games.
That series seemed cursed with that shit. Yeah, for sure.
And there's also the possibility that they do something completely off the wall, like that Fist of the North Star game, where it's just completely unrelated thing or something brand new. Or
I'm trying to think of what I would want to see them do, either in that universe or outside of it. Like what could they pull off well? That's a tough question.
I mean, you know what I want, and it's what I've been wanting is a Yakuza game set in like the 60s or 70s that is like them at the height of their power. And it would be a darker story because, I don't want them to necessarily be sugarcoating, what you get up to as much. Like, I want you to be an actual Yakuza because you're not, Kiryu is actually a member of the Yakuza for a very small portion of that overall franchise.
Yeah,
Same
people
thing with
forget.
Ichiban.
Yeah, he'll constantly mention that, like, oh yeah, no, I was definitely in there. I guess it's like a fucking NWO situation where it's like, yeah, you're in here for life, I guess.
Yeah.
But
and I think they do that on purpose so that you're not the one doing the crimes, but I want a game where you do the crimes, right? Let's do I don't want it to be like an open world GTA style thing, but as far as the tone and let's play a criminal in the 60s or 70s and you see him in flashbacks a little bit more in this game. I wouldn't mind playing Arakawa. Because that dude was a fucking beast when he was young.
Oh yeah. They show him. Yeah, okay. I had to think of who that was for a little bit, and then the
guy that basically raises Ichiban.
Yes. Yeah, he has some fucking moments for sure.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Or maybe you get to see Beat Tanaka's character from 6 as a young man. Like he's also there's things that you can do.
Takeshi?
Or beat Takeshi, yes.
Yeah.
There's things that you could do where it could still, you can see characters that you recognize.
Right.
Or actually 60s and 70s is probably a little too far back.
That might be a little too far back for a lot of that stuff.
But that gives you a blank slate as well,
yeah,
right? So.
It does, for sure. You could almost go back to a certain era of time where, and kind of blank slate it and be like, no, this is a new thing. It's a different time period, different timepiece, and we're just going to make our own little legend over here. Nothing's going to intersect with the old stuff, and that's how we can do this stuff. But they like the crossover thing, so every now and then.
I mean, I think you at least have to have the clans, right? So it would have to be like the Tojo clan or something like that.
Oh, well, yeah, that's easy though. Yeah.
It would just be older patriarchs of them that you've never seen before.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I forgot to mention it when we were talking about Gamescom last week, but they did announce a new Mafia game, which is set in the early 19th century.
I forgot
Sicily.
what it's called. Old Country?
I think it might be the Old Country.
Yeah, something like that.
And I've never played any of those games, but that actually very fascinates me because the days of the Mafia are pretty much dead, right? And I want to see. Well, this is actually the beginnings of the Mafia, but I kind of want to see. Well, here it'd also be cool to see the home country, right? Where I was going to say
the Mafia games themselves are kind of based in a time period where they were pretty prominent.
Yeah, and the first game, the definitive edition, actually just came out on Game Pass recently, and I did download it, but it's one of those things where it's I would like to play this, but at the same time, I got other shit to do.
Yeah, it's always that's the story of those video games for me too, where I'm like, I wouldn't mind playing that one of these days, but every time I think about it, I'm like, yeah, but I'm kind of in the middle of this other thing. So.
Yeah. I also have to be pretty choosy with my open world games.
No,
like I can usually only do like 1 or 2 a year.
Absolutely fair. Yeah,
and it might be Star Wars this year. I'm basically waiting for you to play it and tell me like what you think.
Once I'm done with this one, that's probably what I'm moving on to. So
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can say the other thing that happened during my week, which wasn't much, other than the strike thing, which didn't happen, but was exciting. I did have a stream, and I do want to ask Julian this question. Yes. So Julian, I played my favorite Chinese FMV dating simulator. Where do you, out of all the ones that you've seen, how would you rank them?
Oh man, you know,
I know the bottom 2, right?
So you've played 3,
4,
right? On 4.
Yes, I've played Super Scout, which is at the bottom. I'll go. Right. I'll go in the order. So Super Scout is on the bottom. There is
Beauties are all around me.
Beauties, they're all after me.
Yeah,
that's next to the bottom. Then there was My Destiny Girls.
I don't even remember that one.
Yeah, it's there. It was played. I think it says a lot that I know I played it, but I kind of don't remember much about it.
Yeah.
And then there's the other one on stream was the one I just played. So,
yeah. Honestly, dude, it's like the first 3 are like tied, and then Super Scout is a very, very, very distant second.
Yeah.
I think they're all, and I'm wondering, so I haven't watched a lot of Chinese cinema. Like really, it was like a couple Jackie Chan movies back when I was a teenager, and then Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That's about it.
Yeah.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. But that's like a masterpiece. These games are like...
Oh, Julian, and this is kind of where I was going to see. You're under the assumption that one of them is actually good.
Well,
see, they're not.
But because you've said many times that you really like
I like it because it's dumb.
Yeah.
And it's dumb. And the thing I like about that game the most, and it does have parts where I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of neat. So off stream, and I want to say something that I did off stream immediately after I got done, was I looked some stuff up because I was like, I feel like I'm forgetting something with one of these endings I could have done something. There was a girl that I was shooting for on stream that I was like, oh, I guess you just can't actually get with them. Like there's a whole thing where they get married and you don't get to pick them for an ending. I was wrong. It's hidden in there. And basically you have to go through one of the other endings and you get to a point where they message you and they're like, hey, actually, I didn't get married. And you're like, oh shit. And it's kind of neat, but and it doesn't matter which ending you choose. There's a point in every one of them where you get a text message part, and you can pick that ending, which I thought was kind of neat. That it actually, like I was looking up the achievements, I was like, there is an ending with her? Okay, well, let me see if...
And she's the one... Is that the one you were trying to go for?
Yes,
in
the
that
artist
stream?
girl.
Okay.
Yes, the artist girl. Basically, and there are very specific requirements for it, which I actually did all of them. I just didn't realize it. One of them I'd never done before, which was the... if you tell her all those paintings are shit, and she basically goes... Oh, I knew somebody on the internet that said that, and they have this weird moment where they realize that they've been talking to each other. That was one of the things. You have to do that. So I'd never done that before. So I never got that whole bit. So I was like, that's kind of a neat little subtle thing that they threw in there. And there was, the card game was passable. I was just too stupid to do it. There was also 2 different endings for the card game, which is funny. One of them, if you keep betting high on everything and just doing the dumbest bets possible, she will lock you in a room and you attend Gamblers Anonymous with a bunch of dudes. And I'm like, that's the dumbest shit ever. I love it. Mm-hmm. And then the other one, you marry her or whatever the fuck. I don't know what you do. But yeah, they're all dumb. All these games are dumb, Julian.
I think it's not even so much that for me as it is that like every scene is like Where are we? How much time has passed?
No, there's no time.
Like,
there's no time. No. There's no time.
They're obviously shot on like we've got one take.
Yep.
Like, move.
That's great. I love it. It's so dumb.
So which of the girls was supposed to be your Julian pick?
Once I got into it, I remembered her differently. I thought she had a lot more than what she did. And then, and once I got in there, I was like, oh no, I was wrong about this. So I thought the one real quiet girl, that's kind of your roommate or whatever would be the one. And then once I got in there, I was like, yeah, that's right. You don't really get much of her unless you pick all of her options, which I wasn't picking.
Yeah.
So,
she's definitely like the natural, like submissive of the group, but like, sometimes there's such thing as too submissive.
She very much is that.
She was also like a little bit too plain for
she's
me.
A little boring. Yeah, like, she doesn't have much.
If I was dating her in real life, like I'd be all over her. But because that's like whoever. But that's whoever I'm dating. I'm all over.
Yeah.
I think attraction definitely like increases with familiarity and feelings and stuff
for
like
sure.
that. But yeah, I was just like, no, none of these girls are doing anything for me. And that the other games, there was always like at least
there's
one
always
or two
one, right?
Like,
yeah. See, I have that in this one because the one girl that makes you go fight her ex-boyfriend, I love for some reason that has the kid, and for some reason she's cool to me. That fight scene is so stupid. That I think that's always the moment for me that I always remember in that game is the fight with the ex, because it's always super dumb. There's a bunch of different variations on how it can go, and they're all fucking stupid. Your character can't punch for shit.
Yeah.
And it's great. But yeah, I still like that one a lot.
I have been curious. I was thinking about this today, actually. I was like, which Hololive girl would end up being Justin's Oshi? Like, if I finally like got him down the rabbit hole, and I actually want David Portnoy to ring in because he's the only other like Hololive fan in our listenership. But like, I was like, because at first I was like, I think it would be Mokoko because she's got the cool leather jacket, but she's a little bit too like cutesy.
Oh yeah.
And then I was like, but Bae is like, she's like really outspoken and like she's got a lot of similar like game taste as you. And she's the one that I told you where like she was playing like Valhalla, and she definitely like had like some like very like, I am not okay with all the sexual talk vibes. And I was like, I could see Justin being into watching her.
That's possible.
But I am very curious.
Yeah. I know what the fundamental disconnect for me is with that stuff, and I can share it if you want.
Yeah, I'm curious because like it's definitely not for everybody, and like it was for me like it started with just watching like a couple like animated clips of some of the girls.
So I will not deny that some of it is quite fun and funny and whatnot, and I do not mind watching them in clips. But I get the same feeling when I watch it as when I see someone in cosplay, where I'm kind of dying inside, but I know what they're doing is I'm like, this is cool, but I feel really weird about it and I don't like it. And that's the disconnect for me.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like it has that same vibe.
For me, like it's the same as like if I'm watching like Pat or Wooly.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I see, it's like, if it's, for me, it's like watching Pat or Wooly, but they're dressed up as the X-Men for no reason. And I'm like, I can't, like, if it was just them, like, I'd be like, okay, yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
But it's not, so it weirds me out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I land on it.
No, and that makes total sense.
Yeah. And that's just me being me.
Yeah, because for me, and also the other thing I think is that I think for a lot of like fans of VTubers, like there is kind of like a who am I most attracted to type of mentality to it, where that's not my thing.
Yeah,
like, I don't give a shit
that.
about like what the characters look like. It's more about the vibe, and that's kind of more.
Absolutely.
I did mention Mokoko's jacket because like I could see you like being
yeah, that's always my it always seems so. I always make that joke when I talk about the dating simulator, the Chinese ones, because there always is a character that has one, and they're always the stereotype of like, if we're doing the speed dating version of like, because that's basically what these games are. They're just speed dating, and that's what's funny about it. Like, we're doing the speed dating version of like how to get me on board. That's like the fucking base right there. Now we have the short leather jacket established, and whatever is left here. Okay. And they're pissed off at things. Great. We're in. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause that I would be like, oh, no, you might be a Crony fan like I am. Cause she's one of my top 3, and her thing, like, she's just like, so
could be
her whole vibe is just like, so like over it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I need to specify 2 things about the hang up that I just said. I think those guys are very talented and they're hilarious. All the clips Julian has sent me are great. Like, I really think they're funny.
Yeah.
And I heavily respect what they do. And cosplay, I think, is awesome and has a lot of work going into it. But for some reason, both things have the same feeling. I don't know how to describe that other than that.
I totally get it, because there's also like a certain type of fan that makes me cringe, where it's just like they're a little bit too into it.
Yes.
And I can't really explain it until I see it. And then there's actually a dude at the Frank Welker and Peter Cullen panel when I was at Dallas Expo in front of me, who he was next to a guy, and because I was on the aisle, like next to the mic, and he was talking to the guy, and I was like, oh, I've got this question that's like, man, I can't wait to say it. Like, I think it's going to be a really great question. He was almost like vibrating with excitement. At one point, like, he was like, he started to rush to the mic because he thought it was time for people to stand up, and it wasn't time yet. It was just like, there was just something about his whole demeanor that I was like, dude, you need to like take it down about like 13 notches just to get down to a 10. But at the same time, it's like, but I get it. Like, you know, you're really into it. It's just that there's sometimes it's like, you know, and it's a weird thing for me too. Like, when I'm talking to somebody about like something that I'm into, and it's like partway through the conversation, like, oh, you're on a completely different level.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You ever been there? Oh boy.
I don't know if I can keep going here. Yeah. Like, no, I totally get it.
Yes. Yes.
You know, actually, it's been very illuminating with like, the current Gamer Looks at 40 series, right? Where it's like, I'm a big Final Fantasy fan, and then I'm listening to like the other people talking about it. It's like, I'm not a big Final Fantasy fan. Like, you know, I'm barely even like a casual at this point. Like, you know,
you still are, but there are different levels of it, you know?
Absolutely. But that's what I'm saying. It's like I am at like the bottom.
Yep.
Like, like my only claim to fame is that I've played them all.
Right. That's totally a thing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Love Is All Around, by the way. That's the name of the game I'm talking about. You can go watch the stream. There, like I said, like I wanted to make clear here, none of them are good. They're all completely ridiculous. It's kind of just a matter of which one is your flavor of stupid. Yeah. I'm sure except at some point,
but Super Scout is unmitigated crap.
Oh, it's just bad. That one is like they're all kind of all over the place. It's which one is like less egregious with its dumb shit, and like I respect
the other 3. You can at least follow to an extent.
Yes,
I can't follow Super Scout.
No, Super Scout's impossible to follow. I found the one to have just such a bad translation that it was kind of hard to follow. And like really like harder than normal to follow. And Love Is All Around, I don't have that much of a problem with it, but I've played it a couple times. So I find it a little bit easy. Like I'm like, oh yeah, right. Now we're at this part and then we do this. And so I ignore a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. But the other thing I like about it is it really takes the speed dating aspect of things like really seriously a lot of the times, where it's just like, here's 3 people, choose immediately. And you're like, okay, whatever. Like I find it so bold and dumb that it's kind of great. I really need to play the other one, Knowledge or No Girl, on stream one of these days, and I will, just to go back to it and fully play it, and we'll compare there too, but that will be down the road. But anyway, that's been my week. It's been a fucking week, man. It's been weird.
Yeah, man.
Been weird.
Well, like I said at the top of the show, I don't have a lot, but before we get into like the one thing that I've got to talk about, I would like to get into my dream journal again, Justin.
Oh boy.
Because I think I had a bit of a breakthrough.
Okay.
So if you'll indulge me.
Okay. All right.
August 23rd.
Is there music playing right now? Am I supposed to be aware of it?
I throw in like some nice dreamy music underneath it, and then I also put a little reverb or a little echo on my voice when I'm reading it, so it sounds dreamy.
I wish you would have just said yes, you should be aware of it, and then just continued on like I didn't say anything. That would have been great.
Yeah, well,
no, it's good.
I was in another country with 3 friends. We were driving some little blue car, which we had rented. Somehow we ended up at some older man's house. He had a little business nearby, and he told me to park the car under his tarp. There were some adventures that ensued, but I don't quite remember them. I think we were exploring the area for a few days, and it looked like a side-scrolling game a la Prince of Persia. Meanwhile, we were staying with the man and his family. One evening I had plans with the friends, but I needed to go get some information at some office. The woman who helped me was American. She was this gorgeous plus-size brunette with really colorful sleeve tattoos. We hit it off really well, and I was instantly smitten. At one point, she asked me to check out something on her that her new contact had done for her, and I noticed the name was Mike Fallick. I know Mike, I said. He's a great guy and is always willing to help. She told me how cool it was that we had that in common, and also was pleased with whatever he had been doing for her. After that, I was supposed to go to some party with these friends, but they didn't seem all that jazzed about it. I said we'd only stay as long as we wanted, and they took off like whoa, leaving me in the dust. The party was within walking distance, but I remember in the dream to mention this in my dream journal. And I do think that that's kind of a breakthrough because like the whole point of this is trying to lucid dream. So
I've been there for a split
second. Yeah, for a split second I was aware, but not aware enough to actually like break out and lucid.
It's right at the end. Yeah, that's usually how that works.
No, not right at the end.
This isn't right at the end. Oh, this continues. Interesting.
Yes,
that's interesting. Okay, yeah, continue. Yeah. Oh, also, hold on. While we're at this point in the middle of it, I almost died laughing when you were like, she was American. I was like, that's insane. Like, that's an insane thing to know about somebody. Like, I guess I would assume she's American. Yes. So
because we're in a different country.
Oh, you're in a different country. Oh, yes. Right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Okay. It makes sense. But it's still hilarious to me. I don't know why when I hear somebody's American, I'm just like, oh, yeah, okay, right, great.
All right.
Okay.
As this was happening, somehow I was aware that the older man lost his business to some younger guy at a bet. The next day we were supposed to leave, I think, but the car wasn't there. I went to the man's house and tried to ask him about the car, but he was getting what little he hadn't lost in the bet out of his house and was moving out. He wasn't interested in answering my question. The beautiful American lady was there, and in my head I wanted to ask her out, but knew I wouldn't. The whole thing had a really strong Wes Anderson vibe, especially visually. That was my last note. Which I don't know, like that's one thing I am curious about, listeners. Like, do your dreams, when you remember them, do they have like a really distinct like cinematic flair to them? Because mine tend to.
Yeah,
when I do remember them, like they're very cinematic. Yeah. And this one had very like Wes Anderson coloring, if that makes any sense. If you've watched like the Grand Budapest Hotel, like it looked like that.
Okay,
like the whole dream looked like that. I don't know, it was weird. And then the American lady, actually she looked a lot like there's this plus size like content creator who I've been following her since her Tumblr days, where she was just on Tumblr like showing her boobs occasionally and being like a really nice lady. But now she's got like one of the most successful like OnlyFans and like cam girl stuff. Like,
okay.
I follow her on Twitter, and like someone like gave her like a $42,000 tip.
Yeah, why
like
not?
A week ago or something like that.
Sure.
Like it's actually kind of a cult around her. It's really weird.
That seems like it.
But the woman in the dream looked a lot like her. Like very large but very gorgeous and like, you know, like kind of my definitely my type, but not that person. It was just like when I woke up, I was like, yeah, it kind of reminded me of housewife swag.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes.
I don't know what to make of that one. That one's
okay.
That's a little all over the place.
Yeah.
The man lost everything in a bet at the end.
Yeah. I like that Mike Fallick was there in name at least.
Mike Fallick
that
was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's there was a blue car. The symbolism here would probably I don't know exactly what this it must be something for you, I guess, deeply subconscious that I would have to be you to really break down.
Yeah. The only thing that I can think of is like a bit of a wanderlust, right? Because like I've never gone like overseas, and it was like an overseas trip.
Mm-hmm.
But then feeling kind of abandoned by the people that I was there with at the end, because like they didn't want to go to this party that we were supposed to go to, and then like at some point they were just gone. And like I do remember in the dream I kind of feeling like alone, and then starting to panic when also like the car wasn't there and the guy who was supposed to help me like couldn't help me, and definitely feeling like a little bit of a panic like towards the end of the dream.
Now that as you put it that way, it always helps when you kind of try to break it down yourself. So yeah, you did mention at the earlier part of the show you have been feeling lonely as of late.
True.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Your friends that you went there with abandoned you, and that's what brought that on. You were, and I guess and yeah, like you said, the one person that was supposed to be there to help you didn't help you. So in this case, that's like that would be almost like a theoretical, like, oh, this person would help me, and then being almost the fear of them not helping you in the time when you would need them most, I guess.
Yeah.
So
that is one of my biggest fears of like going overseas is that feeling of not being able to get where I need to go or something like that, or being stranded somehow and not being able to get help because I don't speak the language or I'm not aware of the customs.
Oh yeah.
I'm also very scared of like getting arrested for something that I don't think I did wrong, but it's wrong in that country, like.
Yeah. There are embassies and stuff for that, but at the same time, that's still terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially depending on the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will talk briefly about like the only thing that I really did, cause I played Bioforge for the Suffer Select, and then I started to like, play Persona, but even then that's only been in the last couple of days and only for a couple hours. So really nothing more to say there yet. Oh, no, one real quick thing to say about Persona 3. And I think this is part of Reloaded. If it's not, let me know. But I thought this was a very cool feature. So no, this is because I think the Twilight fragments are only in Reloaded. So like I said, you've been collecting these Twilight fragments and you use them for a bunch of things. Mm-hmm. There's various chests in Tartarus that you can open by using a certain number of them. I think it's up to 4 is like the highest I've seen so far. You can also, at certain floors, there's a clock that will completely refill the party's like health and SP.
Okay.
For I think it's like 12. It's pretty pricey.
Yeah.
But sometimes, if you really need it, if you're running out of items, that's a thing that you can do. But now in this part of Tartarus, they introduce a new mechanic where at certain points, if you've already opened a chest with a Twilight fragment in this run, sometimes a door will open up to a larger clock. And if you spend more Twilight fragments there, you can choose like a party member to level up. Oh. You can't level them past like your main character's level, but it's super helpful for getting the rest of your party back up to snuff, because Junpei, he's like he's kind of like your Ryusuke from 5.
Yeah.
At some point, somehow he got like about like 4 levels behind me. And then Sonata, who he joins the party kind of late, he was also like 4 levels behind me. And so I had them like for the last big boss fight, and they went up a couple levels, but they were still like way behind. And so I had them in the party, I was like, okay, they need to catch up. And then this comes up, and sure enough, like once I did that, they both were like back up to like right in line with the rest of the party. And I was like, that is genius. That is a great addition to a game like this. Because I'm starting to get to a point where I've got more party members than I can really conceivably handle. And I know there's more coming. So that is a very excellent mechanic.
I love how I said Ryusuke super confidently there, and I was dead wrong. Ryuji, yeah.
Yes, okay.
As soon as I was, but I combined it.
Wrong when you said it, but
I combined it with the other character, Yusuke.
Yes. That's when they
Both
fusion.
of them. You know what? Why not? They all
do the fusion dance, and then that's what you get.
As soon as I said it, I was like, that was wrong, wasn't it? You shouldn't have said that with that much confidence, Justin. I was like, oh yeah, well, let's look it up because we're gonna have to issue a correction here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did download a demo. I actually meant to play it last week, but I didn't get around to it. And then when it was sounding like we might not have John on, like I had to get up. I got up prematurely from my nap in order to like play this very quickly. So I had something for the episode. So I played the demo. Well, not all of it. I played a little bit of the demo for SaGa Emerald Beyond.
Okay.
Now the SaGa series is one that I can't even begin to understand. Like,
nor can I.
What is what and what came when. I didn't like the games that I played on the PS1 and proceeded to ignore the series from that point on. Except for this one, because it was shown at some event and I was like, we were both like, oh, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks neat.
And so I when they had the demo, I was like, okay, yeah, I definitely want to check this out. This is a weird ass game, Justin.
Yeah, it looked weird for sure.
It is especially a weird ass game considering that it's a Square Enix game.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound way harsher than I mean it to.
Okay.
But ever since Final Fantasy VII, there has been a certain expectation of games that come from this company that they're going to be of a certain level of production quality. Even like their, lesser produce games, like the ones that are decidedly B tier, still have a certain level of overall flash.
Yeah.
That you just expect from them.
Yeah.
SaGa Emerald Beyond does not have that.
Okay.
Like at all. And it's kind of baffling.
Interesting.
Like you start the demo and like there's no like, animated cutscene. There's no like, there's not really a cutscene. It goes immediately into visual novel style characters just talking at each other. And there is voice acting, at least for the beginning, and then the voice acting goes away as well.
And
the art for these visual novel sections are not great.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I'm not going to say they're outright bad, although I did meet one character where my immediate reaction was like, oof.
Yeah,
I don't know what you were thinking there. That doesn't look right. But it's also kind of like, it just kind of throws you in. But I don't think this is like the Visions of Mana demo problem where it throws you in like midway through the game. I think this is the beginning of this character's story.
Could be, yeah.
But there's no setup to it. And then like after like this like talking heads bit, you go into like, I think they call it like the heavens.
Okay.
And it's kind of just like this void, and you scan the area and it tells you where you need to go, which is literally just straight in front of you because there's only one path. And you go through there and then you end up, and so you do your first fight there.
Yeah.
And it's turn-based. And I don't know what the fuck is going on in this combat system.
Okay, great.
Like it's throwing a bunch of like tutorial messages at me.
Okay, good.
But I'm also like, but what do these numbers mean? Like what it, like it's all extremely confusing in a way that like I don't feel that it's going to explain because this
probably
seems like
not
it's the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And there's like it's cool. Like it's very. I will say that like what the game is missing in like presentation flash, the battle system kind of makes up for it. Like the battles are very cool, like the way that they look.
Okay.
But they also feel slower than they need to be because like, especially for like early game, it feels like it's taking like a lot of turns to like actually kill these enemies because you start the game with like a party of 5.
Okay.
So that's already like more characters than you usually have in modern RPGs.
Yeah.
And I think the max party is 6.
Mm-hmm.
So but like even this first enemy that you fight, and I don't know, it was just like taking longer than I thought it would. And again, not really understanding anything other than like sometimes you do these really cool like team up attacks and combos, but I'm not really sure what triggers those. There's like a timeline, a lot like Final Fantasy X, where like you can see like who's next in order, and depending on certain actions you take, it's going to alter that order. I'm all for that, but like everything that's being presented to me is not being communicated very well, and I don't actually know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm a neophyte at these types of games, right?
No,
like I'm old hat at this shit. But like it's very bizarre. And so then after you fight that first like battle, you go into your first world, and then it's like this kind of overhead perspective, which I found interesting. That's
weird, yeah.
But there's not really much that you can do other than like you basically go to one of these areas to fight some other things.
Okay.
When I first started playing it, I was like, this almost feels like a lost PS1 game. But again, not by Square, because like it would have had like a really flashy CG intro and stuff like that.
Right.
But then like the weird like bite-sized nature of the way they're presenting like the exploration, if I can even call it that, feels more akin to a mobile game.
Yeah.
But again, I've played mobile games with more like flash and production values in this.
We are kind of we're probably at the end of it now, where Square was kind of throwing a lot of shit at the wall for a little bit, and like I think we're at the end of that phase because of them panicking and being like,
they're pulling way back.
They're pulling way back, like that. And this I'm going to say is probably one of but remember they had the Valkyrie profile thing. They had
Star Ocean. There was one, Diofield Chronicles. Those all came out.
That's the one I was trying to think of. I couldn't remember Diofield Chronicles. Like that one was weird. I played the demo. That I was like, this game is neat, but like there's something weird about it, and it's not.
That's the one that I liked the most.
I agree.
Three. And I do eventually want to play that one. I also want to play the Valkyrie game at some point, because what I saw of the combat looked very good. The overall look of the game is extremely bland.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it looks fun to play. It's definitely something like that. And that's the thing, is that like, if this was an indie game, I would be like way more
receptive to it. Yeah.
Yeah. But coming from Square, it feels bizarre. Now it's not a full price game. They're charging $50 for it.
Yeah.
That still seems a bit high for what you're getting here. I would feel like this to me, this feels more like, and I hate to do this sometimes, but this feels more like a $30 game. Cause I remember like, there's a bit there, I forget the studio, but remember the studio that they had that was like, they did like game that was sort of like Chrono Trigger, but not quite. And they did like another turn-based RPG that was like of a similar scale. And I think those were about like $30 or maybe 40. And this feels along those lines. The whole package just feels not up to snuff from this company.
Right. This reminded me of something. Square also put out, this was last year. Do you remember the game Paranormasight?
No, I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Go look it up. It's really cool. But they came out with that, and this was 2023, March 8th.
Really?
Yeah. It's $20 now. I think it was always been $20. Has great reviews. Nobody played it because I think it's a little visual novel-y, but it's a horror game essentially, which is why I didn't play it. Always looked really good. Only heard good things about it. And yeah, like
I never saw this.
It just super feels like this like almost span from a certain. I probably couldn't pinpoint exactly where it was, but there was just a span of time where there's like they just took kind of a shotgun approach, and occasionally got something kind of cool. And this one seems like one of the cool ones. Again, it could be kind of. It could be bad. I don't know, but I've only heard good things about it from like the few people that I've heard play it. They're like, "Oh yeah, no, it's really good."
Yeah, and I think that's good. Like, I think they should be doing that. I think all companies should be doing that type of thing as far as like making a lot of different games of different scopes, and then but pricing them and planning them accordingly. I will say that this game looks like this does not seem like a Square game.
See what I mean? And that's kind of where I'm getting at. It's
at least with SaGa Emerald Beyond, like it is an RPG. Like I can see it coming from Square. It's just like, again, presentation is not where I expect it to be for them. Like if it was coming from a different company, then whatever. But this, I mean, I've never seen them release a game like this. It's bizarre.
And it's super weird. And
did
like,
they develop it or just publish it?
Developer and publisher.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
This game looks very nice. Like,
you
this
should
game
try
looks
it.
really cool.
Yeah, you should try it sometime. I don't know if there's a demo or anything. Doesn't look like it. It's been out since 2023, but yeah. It's, like I said, only heard good things. It's in the visual novel genre. It was, I remember being shocked that Square Enix, I was like, Square Enix did this, huh? Yeah. Like there's a certain, cause I'm like you, like we come from that era where Square like had a certain amount of panache to what they put out. Mm-hmm. And like, and this was like the first time where I was like, oh, it feels like they're getting away from that now. And like not with this one, but like with a lot of the stuff like that they put out, like the level of quality, it's not that it's, well, I guess, yeah. I mean, some of the level of quality that they put out, they're just like, yeah, let's just see if this goes anywhere and fuck it. Just, give them this. They got this much. Let's see what they do with it.
And I want more companies to do more things like that. And again, I think for this particular game, if it was like a $30 game, like I think like that'd be like a much tastier.
I agree. And the only thing is like that, and you have to kind of like tell people you put the game out sometimes, because like some of them are like they just came out to die. Like,
Well, and that's the thing, right? Yeah. So like Visions of Mana is a game that, I mean, for both of these games, they put out a demo. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
right?
that is.
And Visions of Mana, I feel like it's been marketed like a little bit more than they usually do.
Yeah.
It's reviewed really well.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently the studios that developed it is being shut down by Square. And it's like, what are we even doing, guys?
Yeah, we were talking about this before the show. And because I was just looking at it today. It came out just today. As we're recording this anyway. And I hadn't seen it. I remember watching the initial reveal and being like, oh, that looks okay. I'm not like a Mana fan at all. Mm-hmm. But like just looking at it, and then I watched like the trailer today and I was just like, oh, that looks good. That looks actually really good. Like it's bright. It's vibrant, I would say. Like it has a kind of its own look to it. I don't know. I haven't played it. You played it and you said it was decent at least. So,
well, no, like, I could tell like the quality of the game overall. It was just that demo was like so much weird. Throwing you into the deep end with a like, cause as I watched like the IGN review, I was like, okay, yeah, like I thought this game is very deep and it's got like a lot of cool mechanics going on. It's just, you need to like ease into that shit.
Yeah, reminded me of Tales, at least just looking at it anyway. I'm not sure if that's how it exactly is or anything, but I'm interested in it. But
I will say that like after the reviews came out, it's much higher on my like possible to-do list than it was before.
Yeah, seeing the scores as I scrolled through the Steam thing, I was like, oh, that's better than what I thought it was going to be. So okay, I'm interested. So I don't know. Square's weird. I think we're at the end of a weird phase where they're gonna probably start scaling back on a lot of that stuff, and it'll be interesting to see where they go and how they do it. But yeah, that I'm glad I showed you that one game. I feel like I've been meaning to tell you about that one for a while and just forgot about it, and I'm glad this came up.
Yeah. That game that we've been waiting for from the Danganronpa team is coming soon for like not Switch.
Oh yeah. The umbrella thing, the rain code.
Yeah,
that's it. I remember.
Although I did see some footage of it recently that scares me because
it's probably not great.
It's doing the what do they call it? The dialogue, the panic, I forget what they call it. The thing where everybody's talking and like you have to like eliminate, you have to like, get to the word that you want to object to. Yeah. That whole thing.
Yeah.
But now it's like a fantasy RPG and like you're having to like dodge like the stuff that you don't want to interact with and then like attack like the correct thing at the right time. And I'm like, oh, somehow they made it tougher.
Is this Raincoat or is this the other one that they just recently revealed? That was from.
Oh, I don't know. I assumed it was Raincoat.
Yeah, Raincoat was like that one's older. I keep thinking that might be out now. Actually, hold on.
Well, I know it's been out for Switch, but I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know that, but I'm trying to see if it's out.
Maybe that is for that new one that I don't remember the name of. Yeah,
I can't remember. Master Detective Archives Raincoat is out right now.
Oh, nice.
On Steam. That came out in July, actually.
Oh, okay. I thought that was like, not out yet or coming in September or something.
Hold on. This product does not have support for your local language. Please review the supported language list below before purchasing. If you, so maybe not in English.
Okay.
That might be. Oh, yeah. This game currently supports Japanese, traditional Chinese, and simplified Chinese only.
Okay, so the US version has not hit yet.
English, French, Italian, German, and Spanish will be added via a patch update on October 1st, 2024. That is right below everything. Interesting.
And that's probably when the other console version is coming out.
That's entirely possible. So, yeah. And they had another one I can't remember. They showed it at
Summer Games Fest, and I was like, we were both like, individually, we didn't watch it at the same time, but we were like, that feels like a Danganronpa, and then sure enough, it is.
You can tell it a mile away that the art style is just too distinct most of the time.
Yes. But you could have that artist working on a different type of game, but it's this is very much that type of game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I will say that Game Grumps is playing Danganronpa 3 right now.
Oh boy!
I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but I did watch all of the first chapter because I really wanted to see the reaction to like the end of that first chapter. Because holy shit!
Yeah.
And then and then once they get to the end, I cannot wait to watch that because
oh man, the ending of that game is wild.
Got it. I love it so much.
I do too.
I know it's super divisive. I get it, but man.
I said the same thing. I remember just watching it and being like, people probably hated this, and they did. But I was like sitting there just loving it the entire time. I was just like, this is great.
So yeah, I don't really have much more to say about it. I definitely think, the demo's out there. Like, go check it out. It's a very different type of RPG for sure. And there's definitely something there. I just don't know if it's for me, but at the same time, none of those games have ever been for me, so that's not all that surprising.
Yeah.
But that's really all I got up to.
Yeah. Well, that's nuts. Well, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am the birthday robot. Happy birthday, Carla. We knew you could do it the whole time. Looking forward to a year without any scooties and a lot of your dog, Pepper. Exams are done soon, and perhaps you'll get that glass of wine I promised you 3 years ago. All the love, your sisters. Happy birthday, Carla.
Happy birthday, Carla.
Interruption number 1.
God damn it.
Interruption number 2. Happy birthday, Craig. You've recently become the owner of a 1993 Toyota Corolla. Congratulations. That's a high-quality vehicle. No matter how many times you bend the blades on that Cub Cadet, they come back straighter than ever. Remember that time when we built that box for Mama Sue's 358? We sure do. Have a 6-pack of Miller Lite and enjoy your favorite episodes of Jag, you old polecat. Happy birthday, Craig.
It's a good car.
Interruption number 3. Julian Titus. What have I fucking told you?
Hi, Anthony.
Don't hide Anthony me. Please let my son perform his functions.
But I wanted to have a dialogue with your son, like kind of a back and forth.
I will consider it in future interactions. But
Okay.
today, shut the fuck up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Goodbye. I'm the birthday robot. Happy birthday, Bradley. The Texas Elite 6U T-ball team wants to send you a special robot greeting for your birthday. Your grand slam at last week's game won us the trophy. You're the best. We know how much you love robots, in particular how much you love Johnny 5. Do not worry, Bradley. Johnny 5 is here for you, and yes, he is alive. Number 5 is alive. Number 5 is alive. Happy birthday, Bradley. I'm the birthday robot. Thank you for letting me perform my functions.
Thank you, birthday robot.
Oh, man, I feel very relieved. What happened? Anything happen while I was gone?
Yeah, the fucking birthday robots came back again, Justin.
Oh, that's
I don't know
fun.
how you
That's
miss them.
whimsical.
They're so loud.
I pee really loud.
Yeah, well, so did I when I wet myself just now.
Well, that's on. What do you got a cup on? Is that what's going on?
No, it's all over the stage.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that.
I need to go clean up.
Okay.
I need to clean up. I'll be right back.
Okay.
God, man. God damn it.
Okay. Well, hey, Julian left, and he's gone, and now we're here. So, hey, how's it going? I almost went on strike this week. That was cool. I bought a bunch of stuff for it. I don't know if we'll need to, talk about that later, but we might. Been thinking, what have I been thinking about here lately? I don't really know. I got a new Chun-Li statue. It's nice. She's sitting on this rock, and boy, is she sitting on a rock. That's really it. It's really nice though. For some reason it came with a water bottle though. I will say the packaging was immaculate. Didn't expect the good packaging like that. I also got all the rest of the comics, the Street Fighter comics that I wanted. They're pretty cool. Yeah, so that's been my week, really, It's people going on strike, it's the whole thing. Oh, one fun story is one of the people that was negotiating the contract, I'll tell this to nobody, and was apparently pretending to be a nurse for several years. And they got arrested for it. It was the whole thing. Hi, Julian. How you doing?
Better now.
Okay, good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mm.
I'm glad. Yeah. So,
A cold one with the boys.
well, yeah, I'm just making a nice cold Miller Lite, You never know. You never know. Did you actually spill something on yourself?
No.
Okay.
I thought it'd be a fun.
Okay, sorry.
I thought it was a good time to go.
No,
get a,
it was.
go
It
get
was
a
great.
Pepsi.
It had me tricked. I was like, wait, did he actually spill something on himself? Was I not paying attention? Oh shit!
It's about the immersion, Justin.
Oh, it was perfect. It was perfect.
Yes. Oh shit! God damn it!
What?
We're almost at the end of the episode, and we should probably thank our wonderful patrons.
Oh yeah, we probably should do that. You might, we may need to edit them to some other part of the episode or something. I don't know, but you do what you got to do, Julian.
Nah, it's fine. Like you never know what you're going to expect with an episode of the Stage Select.
That's
true,
true.
And you also never know when the patrons are going to be thanked.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
sometimes
true.
it's at the top of the show. Sometimes it's at the bottom of the show.
That's right.
Sometimes it's smack dab in the middle. Sometimes it's a little off to the side.
You should just name every minute in the show. Sometimes it's at hour 2 and minute 1. Sometimes it's at hour 2 and minute 2. Just keep doing that. That's this whole show.
We appreciate all of our lovely patrons. And it is the first episode of the month, which means it's time to thank all of them on this episode. We will begin with our executive producer tier. This week, we have Big Baker.
We have Bookie.
We have Casey Curran.
We have David Portnov.
We have Dennis Robertson.
We have Eric Peacock.
We have Exrian.
We have Joel Thoman.
We have Matt Jorgensen.
We have Philip P.K. Becker.
We have Stephen Lobo.
We have Xavier Krager.
And at the associate producer tier, we have Andrew Wilson.
We have John Gholson.
We have Raymond Crum.
And at the Key Grip tier, we have Weston from Big Nerd Gaming.
Yes, thanks to all of you. Reminder that the 4th episode of the Suffer Select is up as you are listening to this episode, where we cover Bioforge. Also, as you're listening to this, the poll for the next Suffer Select is up. We decided to pick something. We each picked a game this time instead of going with the listener suggestions.
Yes.
We're wanting more varied listener suggestions from more patrons. Also, if you're not patrons, like, you know, if you're a listener who wants to hear us suffer to something and it's worth it to you to like put it out there and maybe just like, you know, subscribe for the month to hear that episode, by all means, let her rip. But this month we're going to be doing an experiment. We're going to try a porn game for the Suffer Select. Justin picked one.
Oh, it's bad.
If you want to let the listeners know.
Damn it. I just, Guilty Force. I remembered it.
Thank you. Yes, I forgot again. Yes.
I was like, God damn it. I had that up just because I knew you were going to ask me and I was going to forget. And I had it up and then I started doing all stuff on Steam and I was like, oh, I couldn't. Yeah. Guilty Force, Wish of the Colony or some shit. Oh God, what a piece of garbage! Oh man,
it's one of those porn games that wants to be a video game in addition to having sexy stuff, but it looks like a really bad video game.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I played a lot of shit in my life because of Steam, and this is up there on bad. Like I can't exaggerate it. It really is hard to do.
And I picked a game called Superhuman, which is the most edgelordy shit to ever edgelord. And yeah, so those are the choices. They're up on the poll at Patreon. Any paid patron can vote on the poll. But it is, the actual episodes are available to our associate producer and executive producer tiers. And, thank you everybody who supports the show. Also, I just got access to a new feature, which is the ability to do discounts. I currently have it set to do like automatic promotions. So I guess it'll do that eventually sometime. I don't know when.
Oh, okay.
I'll probably do a promotion like around like the holiday season. And then I'll definitely do something for like our anniversary.
There you go.
You know, as like it'll be like probably like a discount for upgrading your tier, or, you know, for joining at the top tier, or something along those those lines. We'll see. There's also a thing that they're supposed to be rolling out that I'm on the wait list for, which is the ability to gift memberships, which is really neat. So, you know, we'll see what goes on there, but just a way to say like, and again, also I meant to say this at the top of the show, with me adding like written reviews on there and stuff like that, you know, it's worth it to just go like follow us on Patreon for free, and just so that you know like when we're posting stuff there, and you know, and then maybe later on you might decide, hey, I like this stuff, and then, you know, want to join as a producer or something like that.
Yeah.
But now that we've done all of that, I guess the last thing to really do is questions, comments, and concerns.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
Okay. Let's do it.
There are multiple ways that you can send us your questions, comments, and concerns. You can email us. Our email address is thestageselectpod@gmail.com. You can DM us on Twitter. We are at stageselectpod. If you're a patron, you can comment on the Patreon posts and we'll read those. Same thing goes for YouTube if you want to comment on the YouTube page. And also the kind of the most popular way is join our Discord. And there is a channel for questions, comments, and concerns. And that is where all of these come from this week. It's from the Discord. Starting with Dennis75, who says, what are your thoughts of making the Suffer Selects as play streams? I believe watching you guys play some of these games could be amazing. Even if it's just highlights of the gameplay with reactions, that would be so awesome. it is definitely a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. I sometimes you have better luck with that than others. Like I made there was a Panda Hero stream of me playing that game that has lost to time. I think I still have it on my computer. It's still there. But the YouTube gods, or the copyright gods, if you will, hate the song that Panda Hero plays and muted the entire thing. And exactly. So it was like I put it out, and it was only like you could maybe see it if you lived in Somalia. So that's it.
And I think even when we first like broached the topic of doing the Suffer Select. And it's kind of a game by game basis, but one of the ideas was like, oh, maybe Justin plays the game and I parsec in to watch him.
Yeah.
And
I believe I did.
And we just we talk about it as we're going through it.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if that would be the actual, I don't think that would be the actual Suffer Select episode. I think that would have to just be like a separate thing. Because we would still need to like have the discussion. Right. But there's a lot of different ways that we could do it. So I got a new webcam, like an actual, I got an actual webcam. I'm not using the onboard laptop one anymore. So like if you saw like we've done like 2 videos on our Patreon page that you can tell like Justin looks really nice and clear and I look like shit. Now we both look pretty clear. So that's nice. Because like there's certain things that we're playing around with, like talking about. One thing is, we're definitely doing, because we do this every year, like we always get together and watch the Game Awards together. But last year on Nerds Without Pants was the first time that we basically released like a special episode of just us, like us talking through the whole show the whole time.
Was that last year or the year before? I can't remember.
That was last year. The year before, I think I just added like some clips or maybe we did it twice.
I can't remember.
I don't remember. We might have done it twice.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
But anyway, it was just our audio and not like you had to like sync it up to the Game Awards. This year, what I'd like to do is actually do it where I actually lay in the Game Awards audio along with it for Patreon so that like it's all nice and synced up and you can hear everything. But Justin was talking about like we can probably just do it like a stream because he's got like a nice setup now with his whole thing for streaming where I could just like come in on the stream because we do need to be like. In previous years, he's always like just a few seconds ahead of me. Yeah. And it gets a little frustrating for like certain reveals and stuff like that. But we need to be like nice and in sync and we need to be like watching the same screen.
Yeah,
at the same time.
for sure. So we'll figure that shit out.
Yeah. So there are like possibilities for that, not just for the Suffer Select, but also for other stuff.
Yep.
And maybe down the road, like as we get like more patrons and stuff like that, I would like to do like offer a video version for like executive producer tier or something like that.
Yeah.
The thing with that is that would end up being like that would be like the unedited thing because like I'm not a video editor and so
nope, me neither.
You would be getting like all the warts and all.
Oh, so. I slap my streams up on YouTube. Just there they are. Fuck it. I don't care.
And part of doing the video review stuff is I do want to learn video editing, but it's going to be way too much work to edit the audio podcast and the video thing separately. And I would have to. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm assuming I would have to. I don't know. There might be a way to do both.
Yeah, it's possible. You might be able to just take the audio off of the video part.
Yeah.
I'm not sure though. You'd have to mess with it.
Yeah, for sure. Next up on Discord from Case Monster. If you could pick one franchise per company, what would you have Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft swap between each other? Who would... That's... Like, who would swap with who? Like, are they each swapping one? Like is Nintendo getting something from Microsoft and Sony, and then Microsoft something from Nintendo and Sony? Like,
yeah, that's actually, this question's kind of hard, isn't it? Because it's 3 ways. If it was 2 ways, I guess it would work. Unless you're switching one thing can switch with another thing. I would give Metroid to Microsoft and let somebody do something with that, maybe.
Yeah,
or actually, maybe actually Sony would be better with Metroid. I'm not really sure. It'd be a tough call, actually.
I do feel Xbox makes sense for some reason.
Yeah,
with that.
right? I don't know why.
I don't know if it's because of the Halo connection.
Yeah,
or,
I don't know why, but
what.
it does.
It's not even that I necessarily want them to do another first-person Metroid. I would actually prefer a third-person.
Third-person one.
It's still, for some reason it feels
in which, yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, I feel like that it would work there, but
maybe it's because like the Prime games are Western made, so there's that aspect of it too.
Yeah,
I don't know. It does feel like it kind of belongs there.
It feels like it would work there. Let's see.
I'd give. See, the obvious one is giving Zelda to Sony. But I would rather give Eternal Darkness to Sony.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
I don't know what I'd want Nintendo to take from Sony.
Let's see. Nintendo. Yeah. When it comes to Nintendo taking something, I'm not actually 100% sure.
I wouldn't mind, because I could actually go both ways on this. Because I wouldn't mind giving Ratchet and Clank to Nintendo and giving Mario to Sony, because I would like to see like a Japanese take on Ratchet and Clank and a Western take.
Yeah,
well, Sony's not Western. I know they feel more Western simply because like a lot of their bigger hits have been Western games,
but they're really
but they are
still a Japanese company. Yeah,
but what I'm saying, I guess, is like I would want to see one of Sony's Western studios tackle a Mario game. Like honestly, Insomniac. I want to see what Insomniac would do with Mario. And what Nintendo would do with Ratchet.
Let's see. I
would give Fable to Nintendo.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
That could be interesting. Yeah. I could see that.
I would give to them.
That could be very much
as far as Microsoft to Sony.
Oh, that's a great question.
Maybe Gears.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know though.
I feel it'd be almost the same type of game.
It'd be almost, like I'm trying to think of like something that they have that Sony would put an interesting spin on.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of just fucking Microsoft properties in general, and it's kind of tough to come.
Oh,
what?
Evil Within.
Yeah, that could be good.
Yeah, I'd give that to Sony.
That could be good.
Because I would like to see another Evil Within game, and that ain't happening.
No, doesn't seem that way. Although didn't some other company buy, or was the one guy's?
So Tango Gameworks is back, but Microsoft still owns Ghostwire Tokyo and Evil Within.
They still own those two. Got it.
And they still retain the rights to the first Hi-Fi Rush.
Well, that makes sense, yeah.
But the actual Hi-Fi Rush IP did go with Tango.
Okay, got it.
So basically, like, their option is make a second Hi-Fi Rush or do something new.
Or get fucked, yeah.
I mean, they're still going to get fucked.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Whatever they do is also not going to be commercially successful. And then, because apparently, they were bought by Krafton, who were like the PUBG people.
People in that new Inzoi game, and they got a bunch of, they seem primarily Korean, if I'm correct, but I could be wrong, or Korean studio or whatever. They published that other, the one that was the horror game that was like Dead Space. Callisto Protocol.
Yes, and that's what I was getting at, is I was just watching a Bellular Gaming news story, because there was an interview with, I forget, Schofield. Glenn Schofield.
That's a name I've heard. Yeah,
the Dead Space guy who was the lead on Callisto Protocol, and basically, Krafton, like they were set up to come out like first quarter of 2023. Wait, was that 2023?
That game?
Did that game come out last year or 2022?
I think it was 2022.
Okay. I think they were supposed to come out around March of 2023.
Yeah.
And then at the beginning of 2022, they were said, nope, you're coming out in December of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And basically he was like, you can't just like cut the timeline off and ship. It's like that changes everything.
Yeah, because that game had a ton of problems, if I remember correctly. Yep. Yeah.
And also there were like a lot of just weird design decisions that seemed very odd until you realize, like they lopped off like 4 months of development time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that doesn't instill any confidence in me for the future of Tango.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Did I give a Sony thing to Microsoft?
No. Give them, God, what? I don't even know what they could do better than anything, I guess.
I'd give them God of War.
Okay, sure.
I would like to see someone do not a Kratos game, but just
that'd be interesting.
Do something completely new, like different pantheon of gods, different character. You know, you can have it related to the rest of the stuff if you want, but I just want I get Kratos the fuck out of that franchise. I'm so sick of that.
You know what I think they could actually like maybe give a try to. Give them that one game that I'm already blanking on. Not The Last of Us, but the one that was also a zombie game, Days Gone. Mm-hmm. See what the hell anybody could do with that. I feel like the universe in that might be interesting enough to pull something off with it. The zombie mechanics alone, you could probably fuck around and do some shit with.
Mm-hmm. And that game's good. Like, I didn't stick with it, but when I played it, I really enjoyed.
You also have the devs of that one zombie game that I'm already blanking. State of Decay. You have those guys. There's some synergy there's some stuff you could do here with that kind of thing. It might actually work.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's also. I think it's the same. I forget if it's the same dev team. No, it's not. But I could also I wouldn't mind giving Microsoft The Order 1886 because
sure.
like that is a very cool premise that game just did not deliver on anything, because even at the time, I think what I said, because I think I was doing Nerds Without Pants when that game came out, and I remembered saying, or at least thinking, that it felt like walking into a movie partway through and then leaving before it ended.
Nice.
You start off and you feel like you've already missed some stuff, but then just as it's getting good, it's over.
Yeah, that's
and it's
good.
like, oh, but there
feeling.
was all this cool like you introduced werewolves. You can't just let that sit.
No, but what if we did though? And then they never brought it back.
Yeah, Sony's
got some interesting dead franchises that I haven't seen in forever. Like whatever happened to whatever happened to Resistance Fall of Man? You remember that shit?
I've been waiting for Insomniac to revisit that, because I think, again, that concept is cool, and they've always been awesome about making interesting weapons.
Yeah.
The only reason I never got around to playing any of the Resistance games is they were very much of the time of being very drab looking.
Yes, they were.
But I loved the concept of an alternate history where aliens got involved during World War II.
Yeah, it was kind of a neat idea.
Completely changes the course of humanity. We can play around with that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was I always expected them to bring that back at some point. But then again, I guess, but I never hear really anybody talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure we didn't get around completely, but
I feel like that was kind of a weird way to ask that question. But
it's just because there's three.
It's just because there's three. so it was kind of okay, so do we just, we supposed, but we did fine, I think. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, and that was the last one. I thought we had another one, but that was just somebody replying to Casey on his thing. So
good. So we're done.
We did it, Justin.
We're done forever.
Yeah. The end.
Well, not forever, but we're done now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did it. I feel like I should feel more of a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
I do, though. This is the second podcast we've recorded tonight. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is actually the second. I mean, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I think that's a show, Justin.
Yeah, I think so too, Julian.
Yeah. You can find us online. Justin, how about you?
You can find me at Tyrone_Swift on Twitter.com. That's still the website. They haven't changed it yet, right? I don't know.
Now it does say x.com, but if you type twitter.com, it takes you where you
That's fine.
Go.
That's fine. That's good. Yeah. That's all. Okay. All right, great. You can also find me on Tyrone Swift at twitch.tv/Tyrone Swift. What the fuck was I trying to say? Blanking. I'm tired. It's been a long night. Twitch.tv/Tyrone Swift for streams. I stream on Saturdays, usually around between 9 and 10 at some point. Things
Eastern
keep
time.
Eastern time. Yes, thank you for specifying. And also Twitch or not Twitch. You've said that one like 4 times, Justin. You got to move on. Tyrone Swift.
MoveOn.org.
Yes, Tyrone Swift TV at youtube.com. That's, you can find the archives of old streams if you don't feel like appointment viewing, which I don't blame you.
Yes. But if you have the time, it is a fun way to spend a Saturday night. There's been a couple. We kind of have like a little group now that's kind of regulars.
I'm very much enjoying it so far, and somehow people keep showing up. I don't know what I'm gonna do tomorrow, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Infinite wealth probably wouldn't be the best thing.
No,
like you're
I'm
so
not.
deep
No,
in it now.
I already know that. No, that can't happen. So I got to figure out something else, and I don't know what. You know what? I might start Star Wars. Why not? But who knows?
Yeah.
Then I'll think of something better.
I wouldn't mind watching you try to play Sisyphus.
The hell is that?
It's been a popular streamer game lately, especially with the Hololive girls. You're rolling a giant boulder up a hill.
Okay.
And it's all physicsy. It's along the same lines of like those Bennett Foddy games and stuff.
Oh, I've seen that game. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
You can find me on Twitter at Julian_Titus. Once again, the show is at Stage Select Pod. Special thanks as always to the wonderful Megan McDuffie for our theme song and interstitial tracks. Thanks to friend of the Sean, John Gholson, for being our
friend of
announcer.
the Sean.
Did I say friend of the Sean?
Yeah,
friend of the Sean of the dead, John Gholson, for being our announcer and our wonderful logo artwork. But that is going to do it for this episode of the Stage Select. I've been Julian Titus. He's been Justin Ham. We've been the Stage Select. Signing off.
The Stage Select is copyrighted and owned by Space Monkey Mafia Productions, specializing in independent podcasting. Please consider sharing the show with your friends and support us by joining our Patreon or donating to our coffee. Thank you, and good night.